What's up, y'all? Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is, preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going? I'm the Celtic Warrior, Sheamus.
Wardlow here.
Soda.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Welcome to the dive bar of the IWC. Welcome to Wrestling on the Rocks, episode 1. Again. I forgot the rest of it. I wrote it down last time, and I had it ready to go. I forgot the rest, but I'm at Ref Marsh, at Marsh Ref. I'm on Venmo, but my partner is not. We got Bishop. What's going on, Bishop?
What's up, dude? At
You on
TW
Venmo?
Takes Podcast, twtakespodcast.com. Dropped an episode this week.
I saw that, dude. I saw it. I didn't hear it, but I saw it was there.
Yeah, I went after it. I loved it. Yes, I am on Venmo, but it is under my, as the kids say, government name. So, just leave that to myself. I had all the, Cash App and Venmo and all that stuff under TW Takes Podcast. And I just got rid of all that because no one used it. So,
Yeah.
nice haircut, bro.
I don't even check my Venmo much, dude, so I wouldn't know. But, it's fine. Yeah, I got a little haircut because my wedding's coming up, and I needed a haircut, but my usual stylist had a baby like 2 weeks ago, and so it was not doing any of that. And then my backup stylist had a baby like last week. So I was down 2 stylists, and then my third backup I can't seem to get a hold of. So I was like, well, I don't know what to do here, so I guess I'm just gonna stone cold it, And producer lady said, "The hell you will, you dumb piece of shit," as she calls me.
What's wrong?
What? That's just her pet name for me. I think it's cute.
He's got a mullet now.
It's just a cute pet name. Like, oh, she just used it all the time. Oh, you piece of shit. Yeah, see what I mean?
I know what you mean.
So So we went by a barber shop that served beer, and I was like, well, I do like one of these things a lot. And I was all like, and we're 2 months out. So if the dude really fucks it up, they also sell hats here. So I got the haircut. And turns out the dude's great. Honestly, best first time haircut since New York. Because most of the time I have to go to somebody for a while before they figure it out. Because I got a very difficult head to cut. Got a mess going on in the back. LA, New York, and this guy are the only 3 times I've gotten haircuts where the person figured it out first shot. And so I was all like, fuck yeah. So I'm stoked. I'm into it. I'm going to go back. Now I wish I could have the guy at the wedding just to clean me up right before. So, we'll do what we gotta do.
I did my own hair when I got married.
Yeah, it's because you shaved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used a fresh blade that morning, though.
Ooh, new blade. That's a good idea. Maybe I should save one of my blades for that morning for a shave.
What are you going to shave? You always have a beard.
Yeah.
What was there to shave?
The old crotch mullet.
Oh. You keep that business in the front and party in the back, too?
Yeah, short on top, long on the bottom, dude.
The Dom?
Yeah.
About Dom's hair for like a year.
Yeah, because his haircut looks like my pubes. That's my point. He's got the crotch mullet on the top of his head. It's in the wrong area.
Oh, oh man.
Oh, just in time's coming through. Just in time. Cheers to my dive friends.
What up,
get
brother?
That Manscaped money. That's just it. I'm not getting Manscaped. I'm not Manscaping. That's on them. That's up to them to sponsor my nuts. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not my job. Since when?
Promo code episode 1. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yep, 1.
Oh man.
How you doing, man?
I love it. Not bad. Had a promising interview today. So but they're all promising because I'm really good at talking. As we could sit here and talk for 3 hours. So I interview the same way.
Yeah, you take over.
Yeah.
I've done that in a few interviews though, where I've completely been like, all right, you're asking a lot of the wrong questions here. Let me just take over this for you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, dude. Yeah, it's good to have you back over here. It is an episode 1. We don't have Clump today. He just wasn't sure if he was going to be filling up to it. And right before he went live, he was like, man, I better sit out. So, but the good news is he will be, oh, that's interesting. He will be hanging with me for Royal Rumble. So we'll get some
awesome
pictures together and stuff, and maybe some live reaction kind of moments. So it'll be good to see him. It'll be good to see him this weekend. I'm excited about Rumble. Are you?
Sure am.
Yeah. We got to do a quick. My booze. Where's my cup? Even this. What happened?
Did I mess you up? Did I mess you up by not having a pre-show?
Trying to get things situated, and all of a sudden it's like, let me check the mail. What's in the box? What's going on? And I'm like, fuck. I'm just trying to get the show going. And then look at this. Oh my god. So now. Now I gotta go grab my drink. How about you tell people what's in your glass, and I'll be right back.
All right. So in my glass,
time be descriptive.
Oh, a solo shot for me. Oh, no, I came with the booze today. We usually don't do too much booze anymore. It's a school night and all that stuff going on a little bit later. But now I got Elijah Craig small batch. I love the stuff. 94 proof. Really smooth sipping bourbon. I believe I told you to get it. I recommended it for you, and you said it was turpentine, but I love it. I think it has great flavor. Don't have to mix with anything, so I go just on the rocks, like my wrestling. Kind of matches the Single Malt Studios logo there as well. So on brand tonight with the Elijah Craig small batch.
Hell yeah. And that is on the rocks. And we are always on the rocks. If you smell, we're going to get in the news here in a second. But because of the news, I'm going to have me some Terramana on the rocks with a literal rock in here. I'm using a whiskey stone for my tequila on the rocks. The rocks, tequila rocks. That's double rocks, dude. That's like having 2 rocks. Or as the kids say, stones.
Mm,
The kids still talk about stones?
not that I know of.
Oh, you know, stone's like 20 pounds.
I guess. Sounds British.
You know how I learned that? An Irish
No.
guy at a Jake the Snake thing I went to. Yeah.
Impressive.
It was great, dude. It was a great day. I went with my buddy Mikey, and we determined he was going to be about 10 stones. And I called him Mikey 10 Stone for the rest of. I mean, it's been like 10 years now. I've been calling him Mikey
That's
10
awesome.
Stone.
That's pretty good.
And then when I was at the WrestleMania Super Shop, wouldn't you fucking know? I turn around. There's the fucking Irish guy who taught me 10 Stone.
Nice.
So I got on selfie and I was like, 10 Stone! 10 Stone! Fucking sent him a video. He couldn't fucking believe it either. It was a good day, man.
And the Irish guy remembered it?
Yes.
That's
He remembered him. He remembered me. He knew exactly who I was. As soon as he saw me, he goes, Marsh. And I was like, what's going on? He goes,
Dope.
where's Mikey 10 Stone? He
That's
said it.
awesome.
He knew. Yeah.
Shouts to Mikey Tenstone and the Irish guy.
Yeah. Keno. His name's Keno.
Nice.
Just times to so many rocks. Yeah. Yeah. Matter of fact, if you look up online, The Rock versus John Cena, one of the first pictures you will see almost every time is them face to face, and immediately behind them a sign that says Keno 316. That's my boy.
Nice.
He used to take that sign everywhere. But yeah, cheers to Fans First Sports Network for keeping our glasses full and our rocks aplenty.
Yeah, when you brought that Terramana over, I was like, man, I see that cap. I know that one.
Oh my god, I spilled on myself.
No,
because the
producer
Rock
lady licked
moved.
it up.
The Rock moved in there.
The
My
Rock
balls
has been
dropped.
moving.
My rocks dropped. I hit the rock bottom. You can't be giving me ball-shaped rocks and not expect them to drop. God. Spherical stones. Who did whatever.
The same one with the linguistic problem right now.
Yeah.
You know what I think it is?
Hmm.
You just live the gimmick. You talk in technical difficulties.
Yeah, it's just technical difficulty with a drink. Sometimes drinks have technical difficulties. We know that.
So does your speech.
Yeah, in my speech, I talk with technical difficulties, you know. Awesome. Cheers. Cheers
Yeah,
to us all. Dude, let's talk a little bit of the news. I don't know that we're going to run down everything because, I mean, the shows have been pretty formulaic at this point. We're kind of going through what we're going through. So I want to talk some highlights. I want to talk some news moments and stuff. Let's talk a little bit. A couple things were announced this week that were pretty fucking big and sort of overlapped. One, I think the first announcement that I saw was that Netflix got Raw. We're all going to go Raw on Netflix. Netflix and Raw. You know what I mean?
Nice.
They took Netflix and Chill and realized everyone's going Raw on Chill. Let's chill Raw, you know?
Hell yeah.
And I also say that because something I noticed, and I saw somebody else notice, that nowhere did it say Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Word Monday was not present. I will say Nick Khan did an interview with somebody. Who was it?
Pat McAfee.
With Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee, famously from the security software. He did say, at this moment in time, it remains Monday Night Raw, but keep in mind, we got 10.5 months until the deal is up and running. So we're looking at what you're looking at and what everyone else is looking at. Some of the issues Khan pointed out. Raw Monday nights could include the proliferation of sports gambling, how many popular sports air that night, including NFL, college football, football-related shoulder content, like Manning case, which I have no idea what the fuck that's supposed to be.
Manning cast.
Yeah, Manning. No, is it Manning case? Cast?
Cast, yeah.
Oh, then there's a misspelling on this website. You fucking
Nice.
turd. Who spelled this one? Actually, I think since there's no name on it, I think it was just Nick. Sorry, Nick. I didn't mean to I didn't mean to call you out like that. But I have seen clips of that one. Eli and Peyton going back and forth.
Yeah,
He
that's the
says
one.
if Con said if we stay on Mondays, it'll work. If we move it to a different day, we think it'll work too. And I do think that there's something true to that. How many times has SmackDown moved days? You know what I mean? In the last 5 years alone, it's been on 3 different days.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't think it's impossible. I think the thing about it that is the most jarring is it's for its entire run, 20 something years. No more, 30 years.
31.
31 years, yeah. Actually, because I was thinking about it, I was saying 20 something, and I realized that I recently went through the tapes with John Arezzi on the Pro Wrestling Spotlight, where they talked about the debut of Raw, and how it was the Manhattan Center and all that. And then they started talking about, like, oh, they might be taking it on the road and all this. And I was like, wait, that was 30-year-old tape we listened to. So yeah, 31 years it's been Monday Night Raw, and so the institution that is Monday Night Raw, which is the date and time that all us wrestling fans have always said, well, if there's nothing else I can count on, I know Monday I'm going to watch Raw. Or if I want to watch wrestling and I don't know where it is or anything about it, like when I started watching wrestling for a long time, when it came time to that I wanted to start watching again, it was like, well, I know Monday. I got to flip around
Monday
around 8
night,
o'clock.
Yep.
Yeah, and I got to find it. And I did, and that's how I found it. I knew Monday night at 8, where is it? And I found it. If it doesn't continue to be Monday Night Raw, then that's a little weird. But at the same time, we're in a new era where everything has been weird, man. Vince is no longer there. What was it? Dunn is gone. Dunn is done.
Done is done.
I mean, there's a lot different there. But the big news being WWE Raw is going to be on Netflix. Real quick, shout out in the chat. No Fear at Footfalls or the God says hi. What's up, buddy? Cheers to you. What do you think about moving to Netflix before I tell you my thoughts?
Yeah, so the latest episode I dropped this week on the Terrible Wrestling Takes podcast, I spent 30 minutes kind of talking about TKO company as a whole off the back of this move to Netflix from Raw, because it added so much value to WWE. The stock itself jumped 20 points, 20%, which directly contributes to WWE and not the UFC portion, in which they weren't equally valued when the company came together. And now they are, if you attribute just that 20% push. So to bring it back to your original question, it going to Netflix is such a smart move because Netflix has been tinkering with the live adaptation of content anyway. They've done stand-up specials, after show specials, and with football, baseball, basketball, all having some type of streaming content throughout the year. Soccer's all over Apple TV and Peacock and stuff like that. Netflix is the biggest. They are the biggest streamer, but they don't have live content. To go with Raw, a product that has done their own content for so long. One of the things Nick Khan said on Pat McAfee, he's like, we're turnkey. It doesn't matter what we do. When we sign up with someone, they're hosting us because we do everything. Yeah. So it's now it's literally just a distribution deal. And, as massive as the number is, it encapsulates, I think like 200 of the 240 million subscribers that Netflix has across the world. So it's an incredible deal. And what I do like about the Netflix aspect, I feel like this is going to be DVR right away. So when Raw ends, you just click on it and play it again. This isn't going to be some wait a month, wait a week, 24-hour thing. None of that. So even if it's not Monday night, you get to watch it when you want to watch it. So I think that was the biggest thing I took away is if it goes to Netflix, you get to watch this when you're ready to watch. If you miss it, that's okay. And if you jump on live, you can probably rewind to the beginning anyway. So I think the versatility of the broadcast being on Netflix is incredible. The idea of not having the Monday, it is that mental fuckery just because we're old. My kid's not going to care. My kid's not going to care at all. Dad, when's Raw on? It's on Wednesday. Okay. Like, you know what I mean? But for us, we grew up with it,
Yeah. Can you imagine though, Seth Rollins going out there and be like, welcome to WWE Rollins? says it roll off the tongue. He's gonna have to lose that.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the Monday night things that were I mean, they're really of their time, of their era, of the ilk of it all. I think it's brilliant because I'm believing and I'm hoping that Raw stays on Netflix, just like you said, so I can play it whenever I want to play it. My concern is if it's still going to have that month to get onto Peacock. Does that mean it lives on Netflix before we get there? Because the other thing we have is SmackDown on USA, right? So SmackDown's going to be hard for me because Raw's been very hard for me to watch. So SmackDown will remain hard. But my question being, the hole that we have right now is their Hulu deal is about to expire, and I believe I believe what I saw is that they do not intend to renew that they are done with the Hulu deal. So my hope is that Peacock will get, like it does NXT now, the entirety of the show commercial free the next day. So I hope SmackDown becomes the entirety of the show the next day on Peacock. And I hope that Raw just stays on Netflix, like you said, as a playable thing forever. And maybe then Peacock will get a month later the Raw episode. That way Netflix keeps its exclusivity of Raw, and you can watch it there. But if you don't have it, you can watch it on Peacock like you can now, but a month later like you can now. I hope that that Hulu going away means I can finally have my full unedited programs, because Hulu cuts out a bunch of shit every week. Yeah. And you know what they think is shit? Women and tag teams.
Yeah.
That's what they think is shit. You know what they don't think is shit? Replays and recaps. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I watched an episode of Raw a while back where Brock Lesnar, it was when Brock was the champ. So it was a while back. But I just remember being so mad. I was so mad. I'm still mad about it. And I remember watching it. It was on Hulu. I'm only getting an hour and a half. You're cutting out a bunch of stuff. They opened the show with Brock attacking the shit out of, like, I think it was Roman. Roman starts to get stretchered out, and then Brock attacks the stretcher. They replayed that on the Hulu version 4 times in its entirety because they kept going during Raw. Hey, if you're just tuning in, this happened at the top of the show, which I get why you would do that live. But when you're in charge of putting a 1.5 hour production out of a 3-hour show and you have to figure out things to cut, why would you not cut? You know I'm watching it after the fact. You know I'm watching it in whole right now. Cut the fucking callbacks.
Yeah.
And they didn't, but they did cut a tag team title match and a one-on-one women's match. They did cut that. So that way I could see Brock do the same thing I just saw him do. It played it almost back to back. It was so fucking close. So I'm just saying, fuck Hulu. Fuck anyone who associates with Hulu.
Yeah, I mean, I did just rewatch all of How I Met Your Mother, so that was on Hulu. But other than that, I got no use for it.
Yeah, and they canceled How I Met Your Father. Like, fuck you guys, dude.
Right.
Hillary Duff can't catch a break.
You know what I mean?
Fuck.
I did. So after the episode I did on this whole thing, then Nick Khan went on Pat McAfee, and I did take a couple notes from that interview myself. And back to the Monday's point, what I took away from it, one of the things that he pointed out was how many things are on primetime during the year. And football alone on Monday nights between the NFL and college football, when it comes to their playoff season, there's 20 plus weeks of prime time going up against. So like up to I think it's like 22, 23. Sometimes they overlap a bit. So and with the new playoff schedule with football, there's an extra one here, but maybe not there. But basically from the first week of September to the second week of January, there's Monday Night Football in some capacity, whether it's college or pro. And they have to compete every single night during that same time slot. So to step away from that, and every single one of those games gets north of 15 million viewers, upwards to these playoffs this past year, almost 50 million per view on these playoff games. So while Raw is only getting 1.5, pushing 2 million, but not really, there's so many that could just dip their toes in, and it wouldn't even take a blip from football, you know? Yeah. So, it's another laughable thing when it comes to the rating wars of the two companies anyway, right? Like, look at other real shit. Football just did 50 million this past weekend. That's the entire viewership of AEW for the entire year in one night. Like, there is no ratings competition. So that was kind of my biggest takeaway, was conceding to other live entertainment in that time slot makes the most sense. My only concern is I just want all my wrestling the same time every single night, so I know what I'm doing at 8 o'clock every single night. But if it's gonna be at 7 o'clock every single night, then guess what? I'm gonna watch wrestling 7 o'clock every single night. And if WWE has Tuesday night Raw, Wednesday night SmackDown, Thursday night NXT, Friday night, fucking, Level Up, then yeah, maybe I would just watch everything at 7 o'clock every single night just for because I like wrestling.
Yeah. I think it's dope. Justin says Nick Khan's easily become the greatest hire WWE has ever done. I do think that his brokerage of deals really puts him up there. Like, I'd almost numerically question, has he earned more money for the company in his short tenure here that Vince did his entire tenure, just out of massive numbers that just weren't available to Vince at the time? Not because Vince was bad or anything, but he's doing these $1 million deals. Nick Khan comes in and is like, I'm going to start with $1 billion deals. I only want, if it's not $1 billion, I'm not really talking to them. And you go, well, shit, man, like it took us a long time to build to that. So I just wonder if he's made them more money in the past 5 years than, I mean, it's just fucking ridiculous. I just don't know.
Yeah, no. Anyone listening, follow me at TBT Podcast on Twitter. I said the same thing, like, because there's a difference. Because Nick Khan says it every time. There is no WWE without Vince McMahon. It's not here.
Yeah,
I doubt Nick Khan could have done what Tony Khan is doing right now, from the sense of, I'm gonna gather all these wrestlers up and start a promotion. Like, yeah, okay, I might be a little off there. Like, he could, but he wouldn't be as successful as WWE is right now, because there is something to build. So because the brand existed and the infrastructure was there to be solid, all Nick Khan ever did was tinker with the business model and then make it explode. So once he got it completely tight knit, it was like this. And then he goes, nah, we got it like this now. Bang. Now it's an undeniable product. And then you know exactly what you're getting every single time. There was a question asked to Peter Rosenberg on his New York radio show in the afternoons. Do you think that because they're on Netflix, they'll reduce the maturity ratings, or unhinge their maturity ratings, see more blood, see more weapons, see all this stuff? And his response was, no chance. There's a product that exists now that everybody knows what you're getting as soon as it's on, and that's the product that got the deal.
Yeah.
And that makes complete sense. So all they have to do is keep intrigue, keep talent up, and tell these riveting stories, and they're golden. They can do this forever. It was a 10-year fucking deal they signed.
Yeah. And what they want is what they're looking at right now. They don't want this to be different now. They want for the next 10 years to be having what they have. I think over the past year or so, while we knew this deal was happening, and blood happened here and there, and they didn't shy away from it like they used to, I think is kind of I think that's the change that you got, and what you're going to get is that, look, if someone starts bleeding, we don't have to go black and white. We don't have to cut away. They do need to try and clean it up, like all that, but like where they used to try and just keep it off screen and then only show black and white, now they're showing replays where you can see the blood. And I think that was the difference. It's like, hey, sometimes people bleed. We're not going to shy away from it. We're not going to tell these guys to do it, and we're not going to want them to necessarily, but we're also going to take advantage of the situation in this combat athletic scene. You know what I mean? So the other thing that I thought was really funny, because you were talking a little bit about AEW, they moved to Netflix, and I saw someone post this, and I thought it was so fucking funny, dude. They said, this is great news for AEW. They said, because WWE really wanted to sign with WB, and they couldn't get the deal. They could not lock it down, so they had to go to Netflix.
They just had to accept $5 billion.
Yeah, it was like, fuck, well, I guess if we can't get the WB like we wanted to, I guess we'll just take $5 billion over here. And so, so this is great news for AEW, because that means they can stay on WB network. And by WWE showing that they can get $5 billion, it instantly rises the price for AEW. Now they can expect to get a much bigger deal from WB, because WWE wanted WB. I think this is a little reverse, right? If WB was trying to get WWE and couldn't afford them, then they're looking to make a fucking deal on keeping AEW, because they want wrestling, but they're not trying to spend $5 billion on wrestling. AEW has done well, but they are admittedly not a profitable company. So how much money do they want to give over to a company that they know is not profitable to keep it afloat so they can get their little bit of profit on it? So I don't think that they're getting $1 billion something dollars to stay on WB. I do think that it keeps WB interested in AEW, which is good news for them. But no, I don't think it was a matter of WWE couldn't cinch the deal.
Yeah, and that's misguided too, because you also have to look at the property, right? Like there's an investment value in WWE because of what it is and how it exists. So yes, this does raise the market value for wrestling. It actually is probably better for a TNA who's looking for a mainstream TV deal. That if the value of wrestling is at $500 million a year worldwide, then maybe a TNA can get $50 million a year on a 50-50 deal. Because one of the things I said over the last TV deals that signed up, AEW is bitching about having more money to go to TV, and they're using their money to promote the shows. WWE makes a deal, and they use Netflix's money to put the shows on. They don't put any out-of-pocket money up at all. They don't have to find their own commercials. They don't have to build their own advertisement. AEW does. TNA is going to have to. But there's now an intrinsic value to have wrestling on your program because people are used to it. So yeah, this could be good news for AEW, TNA, anyone else who wants to try to get involved, because there's now an open space in a normal time slot. Monday nights on USA at 8:00 have been there for like 15 years, right? When did they come back from TNN? You know, so that 8 to 11 spot is open. Can someone go on there? I don't know. But if they fill that slot with Chicago Fire, then guess what? 8:00 Monday nights for wrestling is now wide open, especially if WWE is gonna move Raw to another night. You know?
Yeah. I do think it would be smart for any wrestling company to try and get Monday 8:00 somewhere on TV, because there are wrestling fans who are going to be looking for it. Not everybody sees everything always, and so there are going to be fans looking for it, not finding it, and then be like, "Well, I guess I'll watch this wrestling," and then it's up to them to chase them off within 10 minutes.
What
You know what I
was
mean?
what was one of the first things we heard after AEW signed with TNT?
They're going head to head.
No, that they should be going on Saturdays, and that 7:05 slot or 6:05 slot that we were so used to back in the day. That WWE time slot that was always, or WCW, sorry, time slot on TBS back in the day, that 6:05, 7:05 start time for wrestling on Saturdays. That was golden era for us adults who are watching now. But the fact that that still doesn't happen, or I guess one of the shows went there, but you know what I mean? So like there is a value to the nostalgia of 8:00 Monday nights wrestling for sure.
Absolutely. I also just wonder. I mean, we'll see what happens with AEW, but I did think it was funny.
Yeah,
It's WWE failed their hunt for WB.
I really, when Jericho went on Stone Cold's thing, and Stone Cold did an interview, it was like, well, I asked Vince, hey, what if we get Jericho on? And Vince goes, yeah, great idea. Is you sure? Yeah, great idea. Put him on. I knew that WWE never cared what AEW did.
Yeah, they don't care. It's irrelevant.
So like, yeah, it is. It's so irrelevant. So anytime AEW is brought into the success of WWE, it's laughable.
Yeah, it's been the only difference it's made is how much money they may have to pay to re-sign somebody. You know what I mean? Because now that the guys can leverage, well, they're offering me this. Now that leverage is out there, then that affects their negotiation, but it does not affect their product.
Yeah, at all.
No, or their viability or any of that stuff.
And they often say, go for it.
Yeah. A lot of times. Okay, go ahead. The other thing I wanted to talk about in the same breath was it was almost the same day, I think, that The Rock was announced as being added to TKO's board of directors. So, I mean, cheers to The Rock and Terramana. That makes The Rock Triple H's boss, which is great. But we said before, if WWE's looking to sell, why not sell it to a guy like The Rock? Because he should be in charge of stuff like that, because he gets a lot of this stuff in a way that other people don't. And he's seemingly pretty good with business decisions, at least personally. But I think board of directors is actually a better place for him than sole owner.
1000%. 1000%. Yeah.
He's the type of dude who should have a voice in the room, but probably not the dude to run the whole show. That's probably true. But what I think is also interesting, and I'll be curious because I do know he's also like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of a deal. Like he's pretty, if it's working, it's working. From what I gather from everything I've seen and heard and not seen and not heard and things that have changed in stories, the retellings, I don't think he has one drop of piss in favor of HBK. I don't think he likes that dude one bit. And I wonder if all of a sudden HBK is no longer in charge of NXT. And I wouldn't be surprised given the other thing that we saw. And I just say, I don't know. But we just saw the massive return of William Regal to WWE's TV. He was on NXT last night.
And what did he do?
He said, I'm not the NXT GM. And he awarded that to Ava Raine, The Rock's daughter, which, according to Nick Hausman, who asked directly, was told that was just cosmic timing and not having anything to do with The Rock being in charge of everything. And I don't care if it is. I don't care if it is or isn't. I love it.
Yeah.
But I do wonder if in the next year or two, all of a sudden, HBK is not running things and Regal is.
Yeah, I don't know. So this is
I'd
what
fire Johnny Gargano as well. So keep going.
That'd be amazing. No, I think I don't want to shit on your fantasy because it's such a beautiful trip that you just took us down.
Oh,
yeah,
so
it's so
nice.
awesome. But when you look at it,
Rainbows, sunshine,
Rock has trusted his daughter with Sean for how long now?
But he didn't have a say in trusting him with them or not.
Right. But no, I tell you, that's something that I really appreciate about Rock. Sean pissed off Rock's mom and grandmother years ago in a promotion, and he holds that grudge because there was never an apology. The Rock has only done one favor ever that involved Shawn Michaels, and that was the very first episode of SmackDown. He took the super kick so Triple H can win during a special guest referee match with Shawn Michaels there. So, and that's it. That's it. They didn't do shit together at all. So, look, I agree with you that. Go ahead.
Well, there's also the portrayal in Young Rock where they made up a whole other character to be HBK because he didn't even want to have a fake version of Shawn Michaels in his show. There was this character, Ice Train or some shit, who was supposed to be
I thought that was Ahmed Johnson.
No, that was Shawn Michaels. And that's why they made him every bit different they could, because he was injured all of a sudden. He was really weighing in on Vince. You think Ahmed Johnson had Vince's ear? No.
Damn, I always thought that was Ahmed Johnson.
That was Shawn Michaels. That's how much he didn't like him. And he even said, I'm not even going to talk about the guy. I don't like him so much. So we're going to call him Ice Train.
All right. Well, so
Sean. So I'm just saying the grudge still exists.
No, I hear you. And as much as The Rock is Triple H's boss, I know The Rock is Triple H's friend. And he will be that middleman. Hunter, you deal with Sean. He's doing good work in NXT. Leave it at that. I don't want to see him. I don't want to hear from him. I don't want to speak to him. Leave it be. I don't think he's going to make Hunter fire Sean. I don't
sick.
I know. I didn't want to shit on it, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I mean, The Rock specifically came back to shit on on Punk. You know what I mean? He's in there specifically to try and take away the spotlight off of Punk. So much so that we'll get to it too. In Punk's promo, he had to be like, I'm talking about me, not Rock, please. Don't talk. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying, The Rock is still, at the end of the day, a little bit of a petty wrestler. Just a little bit is in there.
Yeah.
What's the point of fuck you money, right?
I tell you what, that's why I don't fantasy book. Fucking what did and Jeff Jarrett, you know how you spell it? Fired.
So good, dude. It's just, but it is funny and it is cool that you have Triple H running all of creative in a massive role there. You got The Rock on the board of directors. If you fucking went to 1999,
all the pictures, man, all the pictures people are posting of them in the ring together, like the youngest ones they could find with the Maivia tights and the Hunter, the Hunter pants and everything. It's so good, man.
It's incredible. And the thing is he always liked and respected Triple H, but he always adamantly hated Shawn. And the way that they even portrayed it is that Sean tried to sabotage him a number of times as well. That it was constantly like, I don't see it, this and that. I mean, Pritchard even mentioned it on his own podcast that he knew that The Rock was onto something when all of a sudden guys like Shawn Michaels were walking up to him saying, I don't see it. I don't get it. He goes, oh, you don't see it? Okay, that means you're afraid of him taking it. You know what I mean? I think even Steve Austin got to the point where they were competitively friendly, but there was a moment there where I think even Steve was all like, "Hey man, I don't see what they're seeing in this Rock guy. I don't think it's as big a deal as you think." You know? And you're just kind of like, okay, if the top guys are saying I don't want him taking my spot, then that's a spot he's going to get. You know? Just in time to say, not exactly a good look having a member of the board of directors taking a spot from someone. What are you talking about?
He's talking about the build to the head of the table match.
It's not taking a spot. What are you talking about?
Well,
you can only take
Cody's
a spot. It's only there's no spot to take. It's not like, because here's the other deal too. You bring back legends and someone goes, well, they just took a spot from someone else. That other person, someone else wasn't going to have that spot. I'll tell you that.
Right.
The Rock walks into main event WrestleMania. He didn't just take Zack Ryder's spot. Okay.
Right.
You know what I mean?
In
it's
the
not
laws,
taking the spot.
In the laws of matriculation, it could bump someone off the card. But at the end of the day, this is something too that kind of bugs me out, even when I'm thinking about wrestling. Guess what happens after WrestleMania? Raw happens. And then after Raw, there's SmackDown. And then after SmackDown, there's Raw. And then that happens until the next pay-per-view, till the next one, till the next one. And then we're back at Mania again. There's always another spot. I get what Justin's saying because it appeared that we were on this path to get a certain thing. But it's a TV show. They can do whatever the fuck they want. And if they want The Rock to come in to do the biggest match of all time, well, then guess what? That's what they're going to do. But based off of what I'm hearing, scuttlebutt, Twitter flapping of the wings, because of the Netflix deal and The Rock being there, there's a chance they might do a standalone special event with just them on Netflix.
Wouldn't that be fucking sweet, dude? Head of the table whack off.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in the middle of the Isle of Samoa, just surrounded by humidity and palm trees and coconuts.
Just coconuts dropped, sweaty, oily from the air. Dude,
palm leaves and coconuts. That's it.
Palm leaves, coconuts, just ahead of the table whack off. And because it could be on Netflix as a standalone special, you could have Maui show up, dude. You know what I mean? And oversee the whole thing. Shapeshifter, fucking Moana could come through. You could do whatever you want, man. You could add anybody. People aren't thinking about this.
They should have went to Disney Plus instead of Netflix.
But they're Disney Plus International, which means you already got the type, you know?
Oh, man. But bummer that they're not Disney Plus International, because that's another cool thing about the deal that got glossed over in the beginning because nobody really knew. And shouts to WrestleNomics. They did a fantastic breakdown of the entire thing. Mm-hmm. All the international markets that they attached to the U.S. deal was a previous revenue total of about $370 million per year. So their new revenue total by going with just Netflix and not dividing it over USA, TNT Sports, TSN, all these other different networks. It's just one network with a straight $500 million. They're now gaining an additional $130 million a year, an extra $10 million a month. I mean, it's a hell of a deal he worked out, man.
It's badass. Justin Times over here. The only relief was when The Rock said he's a long gamer, which I see as saving him and Roman for next year's Mania. Give them that 1 year build in this perfect scenario, which I believe to a degree, but I also believe that my personal lack of desire to see CM Punk anywhere near anything important. If I'm The Rock, I say, look, I'll stay out of it if Punk's not in the main event. But if the Punk's in the main event, I'm coming in.
Well, then he'd be taking Punk's spot.
Yeah, let him get spotty. I don't care. Dude shit his pants on TV and talks about it all the time. CM Punk's most famous thing he ever did, shit his own pants. When was the last time Rock shit his pants?
I don't think he ever has.
No, that's not a pants shitter. You can tell by the look of him. A lot of protein, not shit in his pants.
I was at Walmart today and I saw the WWE Elite figure of The Rock as Scorpion King.
Yeah,
And I
isn't
was
that
like,
cool?
dude, it's such an awesome looking figure, but I wasn't spending fucking $30 for it or whatever it was.
I know. They did
I was
one
like,
of
I'll
Piper
spend
too.
$8. Roddy
They did
Piper.
they did Piper as They Live.
Oh, nice. With
That's
the
fucking cool.
sunglasses and a leather jacket and shit. Nice.
Oh yeah. They did a whole movie series. They even did Andre as Bigfoot.
Nice.
Yeah, you gotta look
Did
those
they
up.
do damn a lot? Oh, did they do Hulk Hogan as the nanny?
They should at least do Suburban Commando, right?
You know what I mean?
Like at least. And didn't he did Nanny and The Rock did Tooth Fairy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can do some good ones. Keep it going. You know.
Yeah.
Do Peacemaker in his underwear. Actually, I saw a Peacemaker in his underwear toy. So
Did
never
they?
mind. Yeah, and more than one. So pretty good. Pretty good.
Well, Amanda has to show you her figures. You know what I mean?
That's true. Actually, for her birthday one year, I sent her the Funko Pop that was Peacemaker in his underwear. So
Nice.
shouts to Thursday Night Chaser. Was there anything else about that deal? Netflix, I think, is going to be good. The Rock on the board, I think, is good. I don't think it hurts AEW. I don't know that it actually helps AEW, because the other thing is this is, as people are negotiating for wrestling, right? Then there's a possibility. Well, if this deal is done, no one's negotiating anymore.
That's true too. Yeah.
Right? So now if AEW were like, hey, what's WWE doing it? We'll slightly undercut it. Hey, get us or whatever. Or hey, we'll a little bit more, you get all of us, right? Well, that's not happening. So now AEW is the only girl in town. And now people can say, I'm not paying that much. Do you
And that's the
understand
thing
TV or not?
Yeah. I kind of said that before, right? Like the property was WWE. It wasn't necessarily wrestling. So if they were in the market for WWE, but they're not necessarily in the market for wrestling, then it's just not a good look. The only thing I could see AEW could take away from this, because I don't know when their deal is up, but let's say it's up in 2 years. If Netflix is a giant success for WWE and Netflix, then there's a chance that a semi-lucrative deal, like maybe 120 million a year for AEW would exist, because it's wrestling on a streaming platform as opposed to the quality of their stuff. If they up their quality and their production and their storytelling and get rid of, as I said on my show, get rid of people drinking each other's blood, there's a chance that they can up their value to maybe a 200 to 250 million per year on a streaming service. You know, what's the second best streaming service out there besides Netflix, right? Whatever that one is, maybe they can go there and get
Maybe
that kind of
Max.
money. Maybe Max,
You know?
yeah, maybe Max can do it. Yeah.
You got to shoe in with the company anyways. Get on Max, right?
But they gotta stop, catering to the specific fan base that goes, fuck yeah, for every single move. They have to broaden their horizons and tell better stories, and just a little bit better production, and they could make some serious fucking money. That's the other thing that's here. It's serious fucking money. There's a big chance they can make it, just from being wrestling.
Yeah. And I know you mentioned it briefly with there's 250 million subscribers to Netflix. Can you imagine the first Raw on there and they say streamed by 150 million people on the debut, and people go, oh fuck, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
All it takes is one time for everyone to realize that people are looking to and willing to watch it. And we've talked about it before. The Nielsen ratings are horseshit, and they have been for a long time. And so we're using this like outdated and inaccurate concept anyways. If they were to say, hey, within the first week between Monday and Monday, this show streamed 200 million times, they can say we have a bulk majority of wrestling fans in one spot right now. And then you could show that, hey, maybe the other, like, because I saw someone shitting on the idea that it's not quite network TV anymore. So now it's in less homes. And I was like, it's on more devices.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is where it needs to be. And at the end of the day, are you going to tell me that Stranger Things is a niche product watched by very few?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's the biggest show in the world.
Right.
Like, it's fucking huge. There's more merch for Stranger Things than wrestling at any given moment in any store that I go to.
Yep.
If you had Netflix viewership on WWE Raw, imagine that wrestling section of your store just exploding with desire. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's another thing Rosenberg said too. Like, imagine how many lapsed wrestling fans have Netflix. When you click on Netflix and that home screen pops up and that top header that says live WWE, How many lapsed wrestling fans are just going to click on it? What if that's
Yeah.
6 million of 250 million that end up doing that? You know,
Yeah.
60 million people log on at 8 o'clock on Tuesday nights, and then 10% of them happen to go, oh, let me check this out. You know, that's the kind of exposure that they're looking at. This isn't a channel flip to finally get to your station number that is USA. You know, this is specifically open Netflix, bang, right in your face.
And people watch Netflix different than they watch cable. People put on cable and go, well, I don't know. We'll turn it off. Let's put on a movie, right?
Right.
People turn on Netflix because what are we watching tonight, honey? You know what I mean? What are we watching tonight, kids? Let's turn on Netflix. What do you want to see? And if they, like you said, if they see up right on top, WWE Raw live right now, let's put that on for a minute while we figure it out at least. And if you can hook them, you hook them. So, you know, it's like Joe Briscoe always said, if I wanted you to be hooked, you'd be hooked. Let's do a quick cheers to Fans First Sports Network. And
cheers.
Just say a little thank you for keeping us topped off here. Other thing that happened that isn't exactly news and it isn't exactly on the show was the return of William Regal to NXT to announce that Ava Raine was going to be the NXT GM, which is cool because that makes Ava Raine like the first female NXT GM. She's like the third GM ever. Regal, that means his year has been up since he left AEW and was allowed on TV. And in my mind, there was just part of me that goes, man, what a fucking day for Tony Khan. Because the fucking day is everyone talking about Cody Rhodes and CM Punk in the ring for the first time ever, nose to nose. And God, you so fucking avoided that because you couldn't make it work with either guy long enough to keep both guys at the same time. You know what I mean? There was overlap and you didn't even do this. This is they fucking are in there. All anyone's talking about is that, and we're going to talk about that. And then as soon as that murmur starts to slow down a little bit, boom, $5 billion deal, WWE on Netflix. Good luck, AEW. And then you're like, fuck, it's a rough day. And all of a sudden, William Regal's back on TV and everyone's talking about that. It's like all you're seeing from his perspective has got to be all the shit he's not doing. You know what I mean? He's not locking down $1 billion deals over and over. He's not getting on these streaming services. He tried to fuck over William Regal, and all he did was get him a bigger response when he shows up. He couldn't make it work with Cody, couldn't make it work with Punk. They're nose to nose, Eskimo kissing, quite literally. The Eskimo kiss heard around the world is what I've been calling it. And here he is just trying to figure out how to get Orange Cassidy to open up every show. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? You got MJF off TV for what sounds like at least a year. And you're like, dude, it's got to be a fucking rough day for Tony. And it's not like I hate the guy. I wanted to go through a rough day, but I was like, fucking keep out for an OD. Fuck.
Well, so wait, real quick, the MJF thing, is that injury based, or they're going to try to tell some type of story?
I believe he's having a series of surgeries to get over some injuries.
Gotcha. So just running hard, wrestling will take care. Okay. Well, good for him. We'll give him a slight little shout out there. Yeah.
Although before you go on, I do hope, and what I want is to turn out that MJF has Brian Pillmaned his ass, because the other deal was that his contract was supposed to end January 2024, and how convenient that he drops the title and goes off for surgery.
The old sneaking sign.
It feels a little bit like, you know what, Tony, let's talk numbers when I'm back, buddy. And plus, hey, if I sign a contract, the word's going to be out. Everyone's going to know. We can't keep this ship from leaking anything. Let's tell them I'm not re-signed. Get the murmurs running. So when I return, it'll be bigger than ever. But I'm stressed. I'm hurt. I got surgery. Let's not talk numbers, Tony. TK, you're my bud. We're good. We good. Why would I go anywhere else ever? And then it turns out he doesn't need any surgery. And he's in Paul's office going like, dude, I'll take anything. Anything.
Yeah, give me a downside of $250K. I'll sell shirts like crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. Give me 250.
Right.
Doesn't matter. So in my mind, I'm hoping he's at Rumble, and that he so and Tony Khan fucking loses his shit. Fuck. And then I hope that he does the Shawn Michaels bad knee thing. Remember when he hurt his smile, and then he came out and did a backflip. I
Right.
want him to do that. I want him to go in the Rumble, knock somebody out, and then do a backflip off the corner. And then
Be
just look in
awesome.
the camera and dance. And be like, fuck yes. All right, go on. You can continue.
No, I don't even know where we were. It's just that Tony. I mean, I was trolling Tony Khan the whole time because it's hysterical how much he thought that he had any play. But I mean, if you want to take it from a marketing perspective, of course, like he's doing Tony Khan does a good job of putting his name out there. But just when he like when he hated on Jinder because he thought people were actually talking about Hook. Like nobody cared that Hook had a match against Samoa Joe. Nobody cared, and nobody was up in arms about it. You might have heard one person go, "Really, Hook gets a shot now?" But to be fair to Tony Khan and his promotion, Hook would be one of the first names I mentioned if you were like, "Hey, can you name 5 AEW wrestlers who were on TV the last month?"
Yeah.
Hook would have been one of the names because his name is out there. He has been promoted. So when it comes to like, who's actually there, yeah, fuck it, give him a title shot, but tell a story. And again, to be fair to his product, I remember we were doing an episode 1 when Edge and Christian faced together for the first time in front of 1,200 people. And they've built that story from that match on to a pay-per-view match that's coming up soon. So like, good for you for proving us wrong for trying to say that this was going to be all you were going to do with it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But that was their history. Oh, 2 matches later, somebody's the new TNT champion. That's it. Nothing else to it. So anyway, the point is, if Tony Khan can, get off the slopes a little bit and steer his skis in another direction, there's a chance, he can get his shit together and they would have something worth, anything. But, he's dropped the ball on everything. And if it wasn't for his, Gluckers, he wouldn't have 2,200 people in this past, not tonight, but last Wednesday, 2,200 tickets sold. 2,200 tickets sold for Dynamite.
Yeah.
From WrestleTix on Twitter. The lowest attended ticket sold to Dynamite.
Maybe even that venue.
Maybe.
There's a chance that venue's never seen that little, even if they're local hockey.
Right.
On that same boat of things that Tony just can't get his fucking shit right about, video games, their flop of a game. WWE just announced their new covers. The first one I saw was the Legends of Royal Rumble, which I thought was cool. Or
So
WrestleMania.
cool. Yeah,
It was
so cool.
40 years of WrestleMania, all these WrestleMania guys on the front. It looked like the old Royal Rumble poster. That's why I said that. I thought that was cool. And then the next one I saw, Cody Rhodes on the cover. Finish the Story is what they're calling the show or the whole fucking game. It's the Finish My Story game. And you still got motherfuckers saying Cody doesn't need to be finishing the story. Let's put it off a little while. They fucking called the game that. Cody even said in an interview, if I don't do it this year, I don't deserve to be on the cover. Next year, that's for sure. And I'm going to feel a lot like a failure. And I don't know how the fans are going to stay with me if I keep fucking failing. And you're like, I hear you, pal. I hear you.
Well, maybe you shouldn't write checks with your mouth that your ass can't cash.
You don't think his ass can be cashing checks? I think his ass could cash.
He's cashing a shit ton of checks, including the cover of WWE 2K24. But what he's not cashing is to finish my story. I got a fucking story. I got to finish it. Well, guess what? You can finish it in 2K24.
Yeah, that's how he's going to do it. They're going to be like, dude, Cody, just play the game.
Dude, I'll finish Cody's story 100 times this year. I'll finish
the story so many times.
I'll finish the story so hard.
Fucking done, dude.
Dude, I'll go
and then the
so
other
hard
cover,
finishing that story, bro.
The other cover was the left side Bianca Belair doing Bianca stuff, and then the right side Rhea Ripley doing Rhea Ripley stuff. The only thing I thought was a little bit weird about it was they had Rhea with SmackDown colors and Bianca with Raw colors, and they're on the other shows. But it was really cool.
The titles they won at Mania last year were the opposite, though. Yeah,
that's right. They flipped them.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you got me there. That was probably a huge discussion in the fucking office when they were
Yeah,
drawing it up too, I bet you.
yeah.
But because WrestleMania is the theme, let's go with what WrestleMania they did. So that makes sense. The only thing I saw about it that made me bummed at all, because it's amazing and awesome. Becky was the first woman on the cover of a 2K game, and it was just the most flopped game that they'd ever put out. And I just will never stop feeling bad for her about that. I bought it knowing full well what it was just because she was on the cover of it. I was like, I just want that in my house, her on the cover of a game, you know?
That was the glitched version.
Yeah, it was when it was all, where they were trying to
Yeah.
use a new engine and it got rushed out and it ended up a lot like AEW's game. Fucking weird and glitchy and hard to play. So no fear of footfalls or God says, what is that? And has a shamrock. Oh, that's for Becky. I don't know what is that necessarily because there's a slight delay when you make a comment. We don't get it for a few seconds to longer. So I'm not sure what exactly was the what is that. But if you just do a full on question thing, you can help derail us. But I mean, outside of just my feeling bad for Becky that she finally was able to break that barrier, and they even had the commercial where it was the ceiling that was shattering, and she's like, "Yeah, just shattering glass ceilings," you know.
Yeah.
And then the game is just so bad that it was just all like, "Fuck, I just feel bad." And so now you got Bianca and Rhea, and it's fucking cool. And all I could think too is that like Becky shouldn't be on the cover right now. Like she's having a hard time, and it's kind of crazy. And we've talked about it before. We've talked about it on episode 1, a couple of episode 1s. I want her in something so spectacular this coming year, and that's all I want for her coming out of Mania. Is whatever's next this coming year, I want it to be big. But back to the games.
Well, real
Bianca
quick though,
Rhea.
on
Go ahead.
the WrestleMania cover,
Yeah.
it's the centerpiece is what, Stone Cold, and then to the right of him is Becky. So she is front and center on the Legends one. So
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I mean, not for the pissing contest, but Charlotte is a couple levels behind that. And she's prominent as well. Like she stands out on there for sure, so her legacy's intact there, but at least Becky's front and center with Stone Cold at the beginning of that. But yeah, I thought it was awesome. And they did it in the summer. So that was another. Did you see the video that they put out of them doing the photo shoot?
Dude, I don't see. Oh yeah, there she is. No, I didn't see the photo. Oh, yeah. Where Cody sees it for the first time and Bianca sees it, and that was
Triple H
cool.
Explains it to him. It's so amazing. I just retweeted
Wait, I didn't see that
with
part.
Triple H is the one that's explaining to them that they're not there for a summer photo shoot. They're there for capturing the cover of 2K. So they found out in real time that they went there for some other shoot. I'll send it to you on Twitter. But
send it to me, yeah.
Yeah, like I retweeted it with, shouts to kayfabe. Like the fact that it still exists in this little form where they didn't know that that's what they were there for. They were so excited to be a part of it. And that's the kind of stuff that we look for, man. Like Bianca has been an amazing representation for women, Black women specifically, and little girls for something to live up to. She carries herself with high character on and off TV. It's just so it's great to see her there. Rhea has earned her spot, and it just happened to be excuse me. It just happened to be this year things kind of went down for Rhea after this, shoot happened because it was during the summer.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna send you this. I'm gonna DM it to you.
All right, cool. But yeah, I thought it was cool. I'm excited about it. I am still not gonna get it. And I think part of that is just that there's only so much you can do with these games to begin with, and it's always fun. But at the same time, a lot of them are already fun. And my biggest problem as a collector of things is they used to do a deluxe edition that was the same price as their deluxe edition now. If you get the deluxe WrestleMania edition, it runs as a digital version for $120. And you get some unlockable things to play with in the game. For $120, you used to get a box set with physical collectibles. I have a replica Hall of Fame ring. I have a piece of Ric Flair's robe. I have a signed picture of John Cena with a piece of the ring from when he won his 16th championship. And that picture is just a picture of him and Charles Robinson, which is fucking great. Signed by Cena. I got the fucking Ric Flair Funko Pop that's fucking like $150 resale at this point because it only came out in that where he's got the boots and the thing. I didn't get some of these other games, you know what? I gave away some of the stuff, but there was a Shinsuke signed picture in one of them. There was a Finn Balor toy in another one. A piece of the curtain from when Big Show and Brock Lesnar smashed the ring. They used to give you things that was so fucking cool. And like I said, one of them I got because it came with the Hall of Fame ring at all. I was like, a replica Hall of Fame ring? At that time, which was kind of funny, I had been looking for about a year for a decent replica Hall of Fame ring. And I didn't like any of the ones I ever saw. They looked weird and flimsy and, shitty. They came out with like an official one. I was like, fuck, whatever. I don't care the price. I'm buying that. I get the game for free and I'm buying this ring. You know what I mean?
Right.
So at this point, if you're going to charge me the exact same amount and you're just giving me a digital thing on a console that with like what someone else's gear, I can wrestle in a different Zelina gear. Like, look, no shit on Zelina. I put her over as one of the didn't she win my Boozy for best gear of the year?
Yeah.
Yeah, her gear is incredible and she's awesome. But $120 so I can unlock 2 more gears for Zelina or Becky or something, like, not when you used to give us real shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I did that. I did that once for a baseball game as a Yankee fan. Aaron Judge, his rookie season, he broke records, all this stuff. So, and the MLB came out with a box set. The video game itself had a steel book to cover the game, which was dope, and it's made as a baseball locker or like like a high school locker. That's how the steel book looks. It came with the digital downloads and stuff, but it also came with a hat. And the hat it says The Show, which is the video game, but then on the side it has 99, which is his number, and then 2 gavels crossing because his last name is Judge. And he was on ESPN promoting this, and I was like, "There's zero chance I'm gonna play $100 worth of video games because I just didn't play that much then."
Yeah.
But there's 100% chance I'm buying this. It was a GameStop exclusive. You had to pre-order it, all this shit. I did it that night. I'm like, yep, got it, locked in. Let's go. And we talked about this when they said they were, canceling digital or physical copies.
Yeah.
There's a nostalgia to that. There's an ownership to that. There's a feeling of seeing what a printed ticket looks like. Shouts to your invites, like the vibe of what that is. Even just the font on your invites was like, yes, this is what a ticket looks like. I was trying to figure out what all the numbers meant and stuff. We can talk about that later, but there's
some of the numbers have meaning, some of them do not.
Yeah, there's a couple Easter eggs in there that are obvious, and then there's a couple numbers that goes, what are we looking at? They don't even add up. What's going on? But no, anyway, like you're 1,000% correct, man. Without bang for the buck, especially in something tangible, it's like, okay.
And it is a little old man yells at clouds, and I get that, but the thing is, to me, the price didn't shift, right? It's still 120. It was 120 before. The price has always been 120, but now I'm only getting digital stuff. Where before you'd get the digital game plus, and it used to be this too, all unlockables for the game, no matter what was released. Now, the $120 gets you no physical gifts, toys, collectibles, no physical median at all. And depending on how you order it, you might not even get a physical game. You just get the digital download. But it also doesn't give you all unlockables. It shows you which unlockables you get. It was the reason I didn't buy it the first year they didn't, is because they had an NWO edition that had a bunch of NWO guys. They had an Undertaker edition, which had a bunch of Undertaker variations. And that was the Rey Mysterio one. And even if you got the deluxe edition or the big edition, it didn't come with the unlockable packages from those other editions. And I was like, I'm not going to spend $80 twice to get the 2 lower versions and spend more than the deluxe edition and still not end up with the deluxe edition packages. Because this was, I wanted my X-Pac. I was like, well, I want the NWO because I want X-Pac.
Right.
And then it was the other one was like, well, I want the Undertaker stuff. And I was like, well, I'm not spending $100 twice for this fucking thing. Like, they charge the same amount and they decided you get significantly less. And that's why I just won't get it. But I do get excited for it, and I get excited for the guys who are on it. And to be honest, if I thought I was going to meet Cody Rhodes soon and needed something for him to sign, I'd consider getting the game just to have him sign.
Yes. Yep.
Right?
No, I said the same thing again about that physical content when, I have a DVD that I would want signed by certain people who were in that movie, and I can't have them sign the digital download of that movie. I can't have a memento from that. Me and you specifically, when we go to concerts or events or venues, we damn sure make sure we buy souvenirs. You told that
Mhm.
story about your Royal Rumble. Anytime you see merch online that you didn't get a chance to get, you make sure you get that. Even though
Mhm.
you didn't get it from there, when you were there, you still have a story attached to that piece of merch.
Yeah.
I was at one of the first venues I went to when I got back into wrestling was it was a Raw right after WrestleMania 31 where Brock started Suplex City,
Mhm.
right? That's when they did the street signs of Suplex
Yeah.
City, but they did it at every venue they went to.
Yeah.
I went to Philadelphia and they did a Flyers one. It was all black with an orange street sign that says Suplex City, bitch. And I'm like, but I'm not a Flyers fan. I don't care. I have regretted not getting that shirt for 10 years now.
Mhm.
Like, I wish I got that shirt because I didn't realize it was just unique to that venue. I really didn't know because I just got back into wrestling. I was like, whatever. I don't need it. I wish I did,
Yeah. There's 2 shirts that me and Kev did not get at that Royal Rumble because we said, we'll get it online. Because at the time, all that merch that was showing up online, so far as we could tell, was showing up online after the fact and usually slightly reduced. And so we're like, we'll get a few of these shirts when it hits the online. That Rumble was the first time they stopped doing that. And to be honest, they started doing it again at some point. And it's not everything, and it's not every Rumble. And all of a sudden, they'll just release one from a random year. And I'm all like, what the fuck was this when we fucking came to Phoenix? How did we fucking blow it all up? But that's one too, where every time I go to any thrift store or Goodwill or anything like that, when I'm in the state of Arizona, I look at their t-shirts and I look for that shirt because people were here, people get rid of stuff all the time. So I have found a lot of stuff at thrift stores that were like, oh shit, I can't believe this is here. So I always look for
Yeah.
it, but
The
yeah,
physical matters and the bang for buck matters. And
yeah,
they just devalue that.
they do. And it is honestly why I did the wedding invites the way I did. I was all like, wouldn't it be cool though if it was also a collectible in a way? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, and that's why I even sent one to you where I was like, look, I know you can't make it. There's a lot of reasons why people aren't going to make it. And I was like, but he'd be
Yeah, it's
pretty
dope.
upset to not have that thing.
It's
He
fucking
thinks
dope.
it's
Yeah.
yeah.
It's dope for sure.
We printed off, I think, 10 extra ones of people who we weren't sure if we were even going to invite them, but we thought they'd like the invite. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I appreciate it.
they were just cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, congrats to all of them for being on TK 2K24.
TK24 is the amount of grams he's gonna do when the Netflix ratings come out in 25.
Dude, it's a wild time to be into pettiness, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Well, let's do a quick cheers to Fans for Sports Network.
Cheers. Yeah, after an hour, I nursed my drink. I'm done. I'm on the water now.
I've been sipping it. There's only a few things I really want to talk about when it comes to the shows, because like I said, they've been doing what they're doing. SmackDown had Paul Heyman and Nick Aldis doing their stuff. It was actually pretty solid. I liked all right, Roman doesn't have to sign it. It'll just be a 3-way for the title. And then it's like, oh shit. Like, as much as I think that Nick is vying for himself a position as a wrestler, I do think that the GM solidifying that he's the new sheriff in town and watching Paul Heyman have to buckle to that has been fantastic.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to explain to you last week when we talked about it, that there are aspects of this that is starting to make sense. It just got to breathe. But there's still like a lack of awareness of how WWE TV works for all this, that it does look really funky. And again, his ego might be putting his wrestler hat on instead of taking a step back, because he does seem like he's always positioning to fight as opposed to be that man of authority,
Yeah.
Because like you brought up Regal earlier, right? Remember when Regal was getting in wrestlers' faces? Like him and Samoa Joe, when they would have that shit together, it looked fucking incredible. But you knew the two stories there. Number one, Regal's in my fucking face. Number 2, there's no way I can hit him because he's in charge.
Yeah.
Not I should hit him because he's just a former wrestler. And that's what has to change from all this, is he has to go from former wrestler to absolute authority figure. And I think we're like kind of getting there, but I think he's going to get punched in the face pretty soon.
Yeah, he's going to take a few, because he took the one RKO. I think he's going to take a few bumps. I even seen people, and we talked about it, where they think that there will be a time where Nick Aldis and Roman are in the match together. I think we might get some physicality between the two of them, but I don't think it's going to be any kind of proper match that people are thinking. It's not going to be some NWA title match. You know what I mean? It's like, LA Knight got a massively good reaction. Randy Orton got a bigger one. Like, that was fucking, he's so fucking beloved, and Randy Orton's just so good. And I think that there was a lot of us over the past year who were afraid that was going to be it. And that now seeing him back.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I think even the year before then, there was a part where even all of his RK Bro stuff, the notable stuff about it was how much it seemed to remind him how much fun he can have doing this. When he walks over to Paul and starts to take his tie out and fuck with it, Paul just, please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like, his RK Bro stuff felt like, not the wrestling terms put over the new star, but, let me just be the number 2 in this. Let me ride the coattail, or let me help accentuate the fun of Matt Riddle, and I'll just do my piece, and that's fine. Let me let Riddle shine. I hated it in the beginning. I loved it at the end. So they did their job, But now Randy being back and honed in on this, this is, dude, we've talked about it ad nauseum. It's perfect timing, man.
So fucking good.
It would work for everything.
Dude, and it basically had 2 main events as far as I could tell. LA Knight and AJ Styles and Randy Orton solo. That felt like 2 main events.
Yeah.
It was fucking good, dude. I liked it. I liked all the Roman stuff in there. As far as backstage stuff, there wasn't much that like really stood out to me. But those were the big things for me. This main event stuff's coming up. We're going to get the Fatal 4-Way at Rumble. Do you think they take the title off Roman here?
I just want Randy to do it. It makes so much sense. Again, it makes Cody's story so much more palatable. It adds actual real drama, and we'll talk about Monday night when we get there, but like actual tangibility to what the story is. That's why I want Randy to win. Do I think they do it? No, because nothing has made us believe that Roman will lose. Yeah. But is it the right move right now? Like we talked about Jinder last week on episode 1. Is this the right move right now? I think it is. I really think it is. It feels right from an on TV push it forward perspective. And then if you want a fantasy book from Royal Rumble on with Randy winning, I think there's a lot more absolute narratives that can happen. For instance, Cody winning the Rumble and challenging Randy. I am 99.5% sure Cody wins and finishes the story. Where if Roman's still the champion, I don't think Cody's going to win. I just don't.
Yeah, and the other thing too, because as we're talking about Roman and that too, that's the one thing where people are like, if Roman Rock happens, it has to be at Mania this year. Well, then I don't think Rock's going to win.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, but if Roman and Rock happened at Elimination Chamber, like people have speculated could happen, well, I think The Rock might win. I don't think it's an absolute anymore. But I think if you have Roman and Mania against The Rock, okay, well, then Rock doesn't have a chance. And I'm less interested immediately. In the match, I could be interested. I want to watch it, right? I want to see it. But you tell me that they're going to have the same one-on-one match with everything else created equal on a different pay-per-view on Elimination Chamber? And I go, oh, they might give this to The Rock. Because then they can have The Rock walk into Mania as champion. And that could be big. But if you tell me that, like, hey, after Mania we have Raw, well, Rock's not walking into Raw as the champion to start a whole new year. You know what I mean?
So what if, I'll fantasy book it, what if Roman loses the belt and he goes off and then The Rock comes out and goes, you think you're head of the table? I'm head of the table of this entire fucking company.
I just bought the table.
I just bought the table. No,
I'm
not
board
only
of directors
that,
of the table.
They gave me the head of the table.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of thing. Like if they, dude, I swear on fucking everything. And Wall Street can go fuck itself for everything that's ever happened there.
Yeah.
If they appointed Rock to the board of directors, because you notice they didn't give him a chair name. They didn't say he's, co-communications director of whatever. He just has a seat on the board, right? He
Yeah.
doesn't have a title yet. So what if this is just kayfabe to appoint him to the board of directors?
They make him like HOT director, and they're like, "What's HOT? Like a hot director? Like what's that?" It's like, no, head of the table director. He's head of the table. Yeah.
Dude, that would be the greatest kayfabe of all time. But on the real, for what we've talked about, it just feels right. I mean, in logical sense of wrestling outcomes, Roman losing here, especially to Randy, makes what everyone else can do so much better.
Yes.
But if Roman wins, again, I still don't see Cody taking it off Roman because we've seen zero vulnerability in Roman. So this character is still God mode. And
Yeah.
Cody hasn't risen his character to God mode. Yes, he has fan support. Yes, he has the cover. Yes, he has the merch sales, the ticket sales, all that stuff. But his character doesn't have God mode. And because of that, Roman needs, kinks in the armor. He needs damage done to him for Cody to actually beat him. But if Randy wins the title in a 4-way, Roman's excuses, all that shit, blah, blah, blah. Cody knows Randy. Cody has the history. Cody has everything he needs to know about Randy to win that fucking title at Mania. And I would want Cody to beat Randy at Mania because the story already exists.
Yeah, 100%, dude. And also I was thinking about it. What's the difference between What's the difference between Roman today and Roman of last year's WrestleMania?
Nothing. He's still God mode.
And what's the difference between Cody today and Cody at WrestleMania last year?
Nothing. He wins the same way. Yeah. And to my point,
changed. Neither character has grown in almost any way at all. And they're both doing the exact same thing they did a year ago.
And that was my point about the Brock feud that me and you went after on episode 1. When we were talking about the Brock feud and how it looked and all this stuff, at the end of the day, which is why I didn't want Cody to win last year. At the end of the day, we have the same character doing the same thing. It needs to elevate. It needs to grow. And it can do that by actually having a feud with his best friend, mentor, brother, Randy. That's how you get there.
Cody's been largely out of feuds of any kind of meaning. I mean, his whole Shinsuke thing was just so weirdly static. And it was fine in good matches and the promos were fun, but it was a static thing. What Brock did, because it wasn't for nothing, I don't feel like, but what it did is it took a damaged Cody who now was walking out. We were all deflated as fans. Well, Cody can't do it now. Cody's done. Right? I told you, there's still a part of me that's still a little deflated from that WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. There's still part of me that doesn't get totally invested in a number of stories. I'm like, they'll just fuck you.
Yeah.
But and quick cheers to the Broadcast podcast saying, "What's up, gentlemen?" Cheers to you guys.
Yes.
But what the Brock thing did was it brought Cody back up with wind in his sails.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like we took him down.
Yeah, repolished him, took the scuffs off. Yep.
But what it didn't do was elevate him above where he was before. It just brought him back to where he was. Because he had sunk pretty low, and it was like, oh, that's a lot, dude. And then this is like, all right, we're back to here. And now what? Ride it out. And that's my biggest problem with Triple H as a booker, is he's long-terming everything without these peaks in the middle. Like, it's not like, how do we get from here to here and have a higher elevation? It's how do we get from here to here and the elevation is the same. So how do we get this to carry for a year is different than how do we grow this over the year and make it bigger than it was last year. To me, Cody versus Roman today would feel the same as Cody versus Roman then. And that's not what you want. You want it to feel bigger.
Yep.
So I do agree. I say put it on Randy, have Randy pin AJ, have LA Knight hitting his BFT on Roman as it's happening.
Right.
But timed out just wrong enough. Orton takes it off of AJ. LA Knight's looking at him like, you son of a bitch. Roman's out and being pulled out by Solo.
Could you imagine if Randy gets the 3 count, but LA Knight gets a 2 count at the same exact time?
That'd be so fucking cool. Only Robinson could pull that off.
Oh.
But I say do that shit, because then it'll elevate LA Knight back up to kind of where he needs to be as a fucking contender. Because right now he's a contender, but he's kind of in the mix. And I want him to shine a little bit. So I say give him that winning maneuver on Roman, but have Orton steal it and take out AJ.
But then
He BFTs Roman, and as he pops up, Orton RKO's him. And then AJ's in the sky about to hit Randy, who's able to RKO AJ and then get the pin. So basically everyone's laid out but Randy, but LA Knight's the one who took out Roman, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a great way to do it. And I know we've talked about this in episode 1. I believe Justin's even said it as well. You know, having LA Knight move on from here, what would be important? If he ends up in a feud with KO for the US title, it would feel like less than because, you know, the reverse booking of it. But I do think this is a point now where we have to take LA Knight away from the main title scene and solidify him as his position in WWE. You know what I mean? So if he was to open every single Friday and night and have the US title, and all that stuff, you have an opportunity now to have 20 minutes every single night dedicated to LA Knight. You know what I mean? Or every single Friday dedicated to LA Knight. And that's the kind of thing he deserves. He's just on the wrong show to do it, you know?
Yep. I agree, man. Let's see. Oh, wasn't there some damage control stuff happening here?
Yeah, Alba Fire and
they were
Rain.
on, and they were on commentary.
Yeah, Damage Control on his commentary. Dude, this bugged me out so much that Kaden and Katana, love them. They're fantastic. But they fed what is their name now? They have a name. Alba Fire and not Ava Rain. What the fuck?
Isla Dawn.
Isla Dawn. They have a name, but they have a name now. So but they fed them. It was like 3.5 minutes and the match was over.
Yeah.
And Kaden Katana won. And Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, they're amazing in promo, vignettes, all that stuff. They didn't have to be on TV to take this loss, but as soon as they took the loss, then Damage Control comes in, Kabuki Warrior style, and go, we're gonna, basically gonna run this shit. So, it was a bummer to see. Solid for what happened. Isla Dawn looked a little rough. Alba Fire, okay, but yeah, I mean, they're just not on TV doing their thing, and to lose to the champs in their only match, it's a bummer because where do you go from here with that?
Yeah, I agree.
Just seems like a solid push to get the Kabuki Warriors the titles.
I think so. But I do think that we could end up with like a fatal 4-way tag match at Mania ultimately, and the Kabuki Warriors could take it there, which would be nice.
Yeah.
That was SmackDown. Let's talk Raw because we're going to probably keep this a little short too, I think. There was only 3 things on Raw I thought I wanted to talk about.
Go for it.
If I'm honest. For one, Seth Rollins had a major announcement to make. He got injured. Then he comes out and he's crying a little bit. He's taking things a little more seriously. This was a better Seth, I think. I've told you before, I think his biggest issue is his lack of honesty and vulnerability out there. He always seems very guarded and very living in kayfabe, so he can deflect any kind of negativity that the fans might not have towards it and to not feel personal. And I do think that that's also one of his strengths in that he takes everything so personal because it means so much to him.
Yeah.
But he's got to understand that all of us fans are dumb. We're all dumb. I'm going to talk mad shit about you and still think you're the greatest of all time. You know what I mean?
Seth particularly, because Austin said his success was himself turned up to 11, right?
Yeah.
Seth turned up to 11 was rejected by everyone.
Yes.
Seth's character turned up to 11 stays in kayfabe as a kayfabe success, but he doesn't know how to wrestle as the character because he's just Kobe Lopez going out there doing his thing. So that's the disconnect that's always there. So to your point, when he came out as the real Seth, like we felt it. It was a better promo than we've seen in a very long time.
Yeah. Gunther comes out and kind of mocks him and says sorry, but talks some shit on him. And then Seth's all like, "Oh, you didn't let me finish. I'm going to be at WrestleMania." And the only thing that sucked about this is like a pointless chunk of TV. I mean, like, are we building towards Gunther and Seth? Maybe. Does this feel like a big notable moment between the two of them? I don't know.
No.
If they end up in WrestleMania against each other, then you'll use this for the package, sure. If they don't, then is this for a teaser for Rumble? I mean, because this was one of those segments that felt like, what are they trying to capture here? because this isn't for us. It didn't feel like this felt like they were looking for a couple moments for the video packages.
Yeah, and I love Gunther. I think his work ethic is unparalleled. Look, we don't know anything that goes on behind the scenes, but when it comes to on TV, how flawless he is at wrestling and his body transformation over the last 2 years, I don't think anybody works as hard as him at the entire craft.
Yeah.
English is not his first language, and the promo just dragged on. And because English isn't his first language, he has a hard time with quips and transitions to be palatable during cutting promos. Everything he says, I believe, because I know who he is as a performer. But when he's trying to promo, especially in like a soliloquy, where he's got to take the mic for a long time by himself, it just doesn't connect, man. It loses me every single time. And I feel bad for him because he doesn't need that. He doesn't need to do that.
That's interesting because I don't feel that way, but I've like half my family's German. So when I hear those accents and stuff, it's kind of same old to me in the way that,
Gotcha.
like, my grandparents are German on like several sides, like, so.
How
And
many
I've
sides you got?
been like step parents.
No,
You know what I mean? Yeah. Because I mean, like my dad's mother and then his wife's mom, but that's a step side, or his wife's both their parents. So
No, I know. I'm sorry.
so growing up, there was 3 people I was exposed to regularly who had that
For
same
sure.
accent. And so for me, like, it doesn't take me out of it. I go like, yeah, that's how Germans talk. Yeah. What do you,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, so I feel it a different way, which is kind of interesting. Because I did feel like the whole segment dragged on a little bit. I didn't attribute it to that, but that could have been part of it just in general anyways. Right.
Sure. And it may have felt extra long to me because I had a disconnect where you didn't,
Yeah.
because it definitely felt way too fucking long.
But I also felt like this was the only reason I felt this was needed was because we've got established that Seth comes out and has a title match every single night, which I don't think does much for the title or the guy at all. And clearly it doesn't for the guy because now a guy got injured really close to WrestleMania. For what? For a match that we thought he should have lost? You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, it's just, if you're going to be taking it there, make sure you get there, right? And so for me, this felt like an excuse to go out there and say why he's not going to be having matches every week until Mania, where realistically, I think you could have just not had him wrestling that way to begin with. And A, he'd be healthy already. And B, like, you wouldn't have to come out there and explain why he's not wrestling tonight. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. And I tell you, there's, I tweeted out, at TW Takes Podcast on Twitter. It's moments like this when they're hurt in the ring, a la Finn versus Seth at SummerSlam, that the performer should go, I fucked myself. Let's change this. Let Jinder win. Let Seth win. So you don't have to do the dropping of the title or the prolonged storytelling. You switch that on the fly and you go, fuck yeah, let's do something dope here. I get it. There's only so much they have. And Seth said it in his promo too, so I'll let him off the hook as well. He goes, I didn't realize it until the adrenaline wore off in the back that I was seriously injured. And I respect that too, because it can mask the pain. But if there was a moment where he was like, I'm fucked, a la Charlotte in that match against Asuka, right? Like, you're fucked. Don't go through the motions the rest of the match. Talk with them. Take the time. Do the right thing for the match and go get some feedback from the back. And now if Triple H in the back is saying like, hey, you know what? Find a way to end with the same finish, or fuck it, let's switch it and have some fun here. Could you imagine if Jinder won the title and part of his promos is sending Seth home until WrestleMania? Like, that's gold. Owen Hart revitalized his career. Owen 316 says, I just broke your neck.
Yeah.
It gave us a palatable heel in Owen Hart that turned into the King of Hearts and, the Slammy and the Nation and all that stuff. The Blackheart, yeah, all that stuff. So, like, there's opportunity where this kind of stuff, that was the only bummer to me, because they're obviously going to keep Seth in this position now until whenever.
This promo told me that he's probably main eventing night 1.
Yeah.
That's what I
So
got
they're
out
going to
of
push
this.
for the CM Punk thing.
I hope it's not CM Punk, but it could be. I hope it's a fatal 4-way. Jinder, Drew, Punk, and Seth. And then Jinder can take it there.
And then Damian Priest cashes in.
Yep. And fucks them all.
It's funny because they said on commentary when Damian Priest was wrestling McIntyre at the end of the night, and if Priest wins the Royal Rumble, not only will he have the opportunity to main event WrestleMania, but he can cash in if he loses. It's like,
yeah. It's true. Which is so good. And that's never been done. And how amazing would that be? Because how many times has somebody won and then beat the shit out of the guy after they lost, you know? Like, so. The other thing I want to talk about in here, though, just the Seth thing was largely static to me, and it does put Gunther in a good position, but it doesn't. I think it doesn't quite do it for me. I think the thing is this: we got to figure a way of get him out of the Intercontinental Championship.
And I
think
find
that's
the bummer, and what I see in the obvious bummer in Triple H's storytelling is he doesn't like to deviate.
No,
this definitely feels like a moment to deviate.
Yeah.
You know, Seth, you want Seth in the main event of WrestleMania night 1? Go for it. Absolutely. You can do it. Because he can show up fucking 2 weeks before WrestleMania and go, I'm back and I want my title in that main event at WrestleMania. Or he can do fucking have Cody take the title and he can do to Cody what Cody did to him. And main event of night 1 is Cody with the title against Seth as the mystery opponent. Like, there's so many different things they can do. So I hear you. It just doesn't seem like Triple H wants to change on the fly.
That's what that felt like. Is it felt like, okay, we're going to shoehorn this. We're forcing this. Okay. Yeah. Speaking of forcing it, shoehorning, and beef planets, Nia Jax, Bayley, and Becky had a pretty decent promo segment back and forth, which I dug. It kind of makes me think that Fatal at the end, they're going to be the final 3. I don't know who the 4th is going to be in there. Hopefully a surprise somebody. But I think that Bayley helps Becky get Nia over, and then Bayley flips Becky out, and Becky's like, "What the fuck, bitch?"
Yeah,
that's what I feel like. Because I feel like it's going to be a whole like 4 horsewomen moment where, look, you and me, let's take out the planet, and they Death Star her ass, single shot, and then right as they get Nia over, Bayley's right behind Becky and just flips her. That's my thought on how we're going to finish that Rumble. And that way, my girl Bayley wins everything, which just needs to be. You know what I mean? Like, why is she not winning everything? It doesn't make sense.
And I'm curious what this whole story with Damage Control is going to lay out. Because Bayley has been leaning a lot on propping up Damage Control and what she's going to look like by herself. We just haven't seen that in 2 years. You know.
I do think that there's a world where Bayley has some of Damage Control on the outside of the ring and reaches over to them for them to help her with something, and they grab her arm and pull her out.
Like for an elimination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that she's like reaching out like, guys, hand me the whatever. And they grab her arm and just... I still want Bayley to win everything, though. Because the other thing I'm afraid of is I think Bayley's, with all due respect, she's getting very, very close to becoming the newest Natty, which is just a superb foundation.
Yeah.
Superb athlete. She's better on the mic than Natty. I think even Natty would admit that. But
temple.
Yeah, but a tent pole and a foundation that everyone else gets to steamroll through at a certain point to build the credibility of others. And she's very giving in that way. And I'm not saying that that's not her future, because I think she's going to be around for a long time and do that and be as imperative to the locker room as I feel Natty is to their locker room. Like, we need Natty there. And I feel like we'll need Bayley there. But I just feel like just not yet. You know what I mean? Like, she still has a couple more things she can knock out. And realistically, I think there's more for Natty to do too. I think that Natty got to that spot a little too soon as well. And I think that's a little unfair to Natty. And I just don't want to see it to happen to somebody else, especially when these people are so good, you know?
Yeah, no, there's a ton of talent that, you know, I mean, we have an embarrassment of riches, you know, as we talk about, you know, tag team women look like they're building a division. The singles women, you know, what's it going to look like? It, you know, even Bayley on TV is angling for Rhea. But we know with the betrayal of Damage Control right there in the wings, if Bayley wins and goes to say she's going to challenge Rhea, but gets cut off for 3 weeks without saying Rhea's name. You know what I mean? And then it leads up to her saying, after getting, not supported by Io, I want your title. Like, yeah, there's going to be a pop, an immediate turn to babyface for Bailey. Like it's right there. And Bailey with some unfinished business for sure. For sure. I mean, look, she's the only horsewoman to not be in the main event of WrestleMania.
Yeah. Yep. I agree, dude. And I think, no, I guess Sasha never won the Rumble. But she could this year too.
There's some scuttlebutt on that.
Yeah. I want Sasha in the Rumble. I want MJF in the Rumble. Those are my 2 picks. Because MJF in the Rumble would just make me so fucking happy that because it would be so good. Oh. Real quick before we talk about the real topic, I'm just going to throw this out here. All the Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, R-Truth stuff. Same old, man.
Yeah,
doesn't make sense. And I just don't know why we need this much comedy in a group that is vying so hard to stay serious and a threat. It just doesn't feel that way.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I like them. Let's see. Oh, that's interesting. That tag team match happened. So what we're going to talk about for the rest, and I don't even know if it's going to be all that long, really, but CM Punk and Cody Rhodes had the Eskimo kiss, felt around the world, rubbing noses. I've seen a lot of people talk about this and get all into the idea of, bigger than ever, biggest ever. And I do think there's something about it that felt really big. I think the thing about it that I'm missing that other people are trying to force me to be on board with is they felt like CM Punk came from a very real place and was telling these stories. And I didn't believe anything he said. I didn't believe any of that Dusty story. In 2007, Dusty called you and said, look out for my boy who's going to be in Florida or in Ohio Valley State Wrestling.
OVW,
yeah, but that's in Florida.
OVW is in Kentucky. It was OVW, not FCW.
Yeah, in Kentucky. Yeah. But you're telling me that Dusty called you when you're on the main roster doing stuff as the champion to look after his boy who's in developmental a million miles away? Like, I don't believe it for a second at all, not even remotely. Because also, who are you to Dusty even in the most basic sense of all the stories we've told, all the videos we've seen? They interviewed Dusty for a bunch of those old things that I've seen come up. When I watched the CM Punk one, I didn't see Dusty over there saying, this is my guy 100%. Those were the Bruces and the Heymans who said, this is my guy. I'm not saying Dusty didn't know him or didn't train him or didn't like him, but I don't believe for a second that Dusty hung his hat on him or that leaned on him or said, look out for my son. That just sounded so dumb and forced. Why would he have called you? Why wouldn't he have called some of the guys in OVW? He wouldn't have called Cornette. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, he wouldn't have called Danny Davis, who he was up and down the road with for years, who's running OVW. Like, it didn't make any fucking sense. And I was like, why Punk and why Punk then? So I didn't believe that to begin with. The part of his promo that I thought was good was when he said that he's kind of more the American dream because he didn't have a foot in, which I liked that my dad was an electrician, right? So I lived that American dream. However, a lot different. But what was it about that part? He said it was, so he said that he's a little more the American dream in that sense, but I didn't really buy into like the whole like I was Dusty's boy or anything like that. Cody saying he was more CM Punk than CM Punk made a lot of sense because he did do all the things that Punk never did that he said he was going to. But it all was pretty forced outside of that. I mean, from Punk's side of it, I don't know. What did you get out of this?
So first thing that happened after I watched it, I went on Twitter and I saw people's responses and the amount of throating and shouts to Check Rap when Cheap Pops, the glucking that these fans did for how great this promo was. There was one podcast that said it was the greatest podcast in the 2000s or in the 2020s. And I'm like, it's not the greatest promo outside of the bloodline. It's not the greatest promo of this year. What Drew has been doing, even what Drew did afterwards, was a better promo than this because everything felt more real coming out of Drew's mouth. Drew shut the whole fucking thing down by going, well, why would I talk about them who didn't do what I did faster and better? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So, okay. So before I shit on everything, when I'm watching it, again, fresh eyes, fresh ears, okay. So Nola, what do you want to talk about? More importantly, CM Punk, what do you want to talk about? Okay. I'll stick for the beginning of the gimmick. CM Punk speaks. Okay. Standard. No problem. Then Cody speaks, and I go, okay, so this is the beginning of the promo. They both had a mission statement. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't sound like Cody fed off of what Punk was saying.
Yeah.
Like, it sounded like Cody was starting the promo stuff all over again. So I was completely lost. I'm like, what story am I following here? Like, and then when it came to CM Punk doing his American Dream story, number one, I appreciate CM Punk's American Dream story, right?
Yeah.
But you don't then punchline it with, I'm more the American Dream than you. Because guess what Cody doesn't call himself? The American Dream.
Yeah.
Guess what Cody never tries to pretend? That he's the American Dream. What did Cody say right before that? I know I was a nepotism hire. Nepotism hires aren't the American Dream. So he positioned himself. What he should have said was, I guess that makes me an American Dream. Most importantly, am I your daddy? In some way, shape, or form, right?
Yeah.
Because he talked about helping raise Cody through the ranks. And he talked about having a parallel story to his father. So he's now positioning himself as older than, hierarchy better than, right? But he put it on a level playing field by saying, I'm more the American Dream than you. And Cody's like, yeah, of course you are. I know you are. So like that, and that wasn't Cody's response, but my response for Cody would have been, yeah, no shit. Like, we know that. So again, it was another reset.
Right.
Then
Now I'll give you this. When I said I liked that part, it wasn't because I thought it was a good burn, but it was like, yeah, he is more aligned with the American Dream story in that way. But what he also didn't acknowledge well enough was that he's pretending like this nepotism hire was an easy road for Cody, when actually it was to his detriment. It actually made it much more difficult. He had a much more difficult time in WWE than Punk did. When Punk got to WWE, he had a much easier time than when Cody got to WWE. You know what I mean?
And not only that, I wasn't even shitting on Punk's part. I thought that was the most articulate. I don't want to say passionate, but the most believable was that portion of the story. He completely fucked it on the punchline. The punchline, it ruined everything for me, because Cody never once positioned himself as the American Dream. And the only thing, and he said it, the only thing I've ever tried to do is be the light in the shadow. Dusty was always too big for me. That I couldn't get out of that. And I knew that. So the burn doesn't matter. If you tell me, oh, what are you, a fucking ginger? Yeah, man, I grew up with red hair. What do you want me to say? It's not a burn, because I've acknowledged it for years. Nobody cares. It's not a burn. So that's where, like, when Cody went on his thing, I was like, dope. Cody said his thing. But again, saying I'm more CM Punk than you can't, because CM Punk is a made-up name, and he's CM Punk. If he says, I did the Punk things that CM talked about, then it makes sense. So the punchlines weren't hitting because they didn't pertain to who each character actually was. If he goes, and when I left, I did everything that you talked about and became the voice of the voiceless. If he put it in a different, because he's not more CM Punk. CM Punk. He just is who he is. You know what I mean? So like,
but I think I think the reason that it hit was that it was not that I'm more of your moniker. It's I'm more of what you've pretended to be. Right?
Correct.
The facade that the CM Punk character is meant to be, I actually embody. I embody the CM Punk facade.
Because I just said it to myself too. Embody. That's what he missed. I embody more CM Punk than you do. It's not that I'm more in CM Punk than you are. I embody more of CM Punk than you do. You know what I mean? That's what he missed. And because he didn't say it that way, the translation wasn't there. I played the promo last night for the missus. And at the end of it, I go, what do you think? She goes, can I get those 13 minutes back? And I'm like, why? She goes, because I don't know what I just listened to. All the callbacks and things they had, they didn't tie them into reality of new viewers or even lapsed viewers like me. So when again, when Punk goes, well, I'm more of the American dream than you, my wife was like, well, what does that mean? Like his dad was the American dream, not Cody. Cody's a nightmare. I go, yeah, I know. It's pretty funny, right? Like, so like, and she loved the Cody part where he ended up going, I'm more CM Punk than you, because that part of the promo, you can see how real it was for him. But when he goes, I picked up the torch and walked with it. Okay, but for people who don't know what you did, why don't you tell us?
Break it down.
I made a space for the undesirable to become undeniable. I created moments for people to rise through the ranks without the conglomerate of WWE. But he didn't do that, and it's part of his real life where he doesn't want to take full credit because he always mentions the Jacksons for being part of it. Like, oh, I've always had partners. I had partners and partners and partners and partners. Anytime he's asked about AEW, well, it was me and partners. But to do it on live TV, even his partners will understand what he's talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
So,
mean, if
like,
he had said, "I made a list and I followed through with it," what did you follow through with? You said
right.
you wanted this, and I did that. You said you wanted this, and you disappeared for 8 years, but I did this. Like, if he had actually broken down the pipe bomb a little bit and said, "You said these things, and you wanted these things, and then you just left." The one thing I can't get over is the fact that everyone in every promo, including Punk's, is talking about how CM Punk left the company. He walked out. He quit. But his big gripe he went on Colt Cabana's podcast was about how they fired him behind his back. That he got sent to FedEx on his wedding day and they fired me. And now I can't go back. Did you fucking quit or get fired, dude? You don't get
Right.
both gripes. You don't get to be pissed that they fired you and then gloat because you walked out on them. You don't get both. You either walked out and then they filed the paperwork, or you got fired and you were pissed about it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
your whole story, your whole gripe, the whole reason you hate Vince McMahon is because they fired you on your wedding day, holds no water if everything you say is, I walked out and I needed to, and I had to leave to know what I was worth. All that shit. None of that shit means anything because I heard you say they fired you.
Dude, and I gotta tell you too, like the whole story of them being friends. Oh, are we gonna be friends on Sunday morning? What about Sunday morning? Oh, we were friends then. We can be friends again. Like, when did we ever know they were friends? Even Cody at press conferences, and if you want to dip into the untold and go into the AEW stuff, Punk is a specific reason why Cody didn't resign. He didn't want Punk to come into AEW. So why would he want him here? And when he was questioned at the press conference after Survivor Series, what do you think about Punk being here? Well, if he wants to play ball and be a part of this team, then come on in.
He goes,
Yeah.
I think it could be good if he's hungry. I think if he's here, that means he's hungry.
Yes.
Because he also knows what it would take to get him there.
Yes. And in those contexts, when you watch the stuff that's on TV, I'm sorry, you cannot tell me that you guys were friends for 20 years. You cannot tell me that you were a big brother in this program. You cannot tell me that you're a parallel, like you're above Cody because you're more like his dad when you're trying to diss Cody. Say you're more like his dad because you were more like his dad. I helped raise you in this business, and that makes me just as much an American dream to your nightmare. You know what I mean? But that's not how it came out. So when people go online and they go, this is fucking amazing, this is flawless, this is amazing, all this stuff, I'm sorry. When you're calling greatness, I want to see greatness.
Yeah.
People poke holes in how dry the Roman storyline is, but we talked about it last week on episode 1. When that motherfucker shows up, it feels important. When he's going through the motions, it feels unstoppable. And that's not me trying to, overcompensate for what's on TV. There's a presence to what's happening. When the promo's happening, you hear it and you go, holy shit. There's a reason why Jey Uso can continue to build his character, because there's a relatability and realism on TV. Right?
Yeah.
Why did Drew McIntyre over the last 3 weeks win you over? Because there's an ability that translates through the mic. Drew McIntyre's a guy you would never root for the last 3 years. No. And all it took was the last 2 weeks, but the last 3 weeks, you've been on the hook for what story this guy is telling. And the fact that these two goats of the industry right now can't make what they're saying relatable is a really big problem for me, when I see how much people love this, I'm not shitting on it for the sake of. I'm not shitting on it because I hate Cody. I'm not shitting on it because I hate Punk. If they were to say something a la Drew McIntyre to get me to go, oh, fuck, you know what? This is pretty fucking good. Because when Drew stood across each one of those guys individually, me and you were both like, dude, Drew Cody might be a match. Drew Punk might be a match. Cody Punk didn't do the same thing. It just didn't.
Because I also think that Punk doesn't understand what a little punk bitch he is. When he hears I'm more CM Punk than you, and he starts to fucking take off his sweater and show his average, regular man-sized arms with his normal, average-looking tattoos that are not badass tattoos. I mean, Orton's tattoos are fucking crazy, dude. Skulls and shit. Fucking Punk's got soda. You know what I mean? Like, fuck off, dude. Soda and stars and stripes. Like, fuck off. Like, it's fine. I've got Muppets.
I was gonna say, you got stick figures, bro. Like,
yeah, dude, I got goofy shit on me. And so when I show people my tattoos, it's not because I'm like, look how tough I am. I was showing someone some of my tattoos and it's like, yeah, because I'm a badass. And it's like the joke, because you know it's not. The fact that he's not in on the joke that is himself is weird, dude. Yeah. He takes off his jacket and gets fucking right in his face. And it's all like, dude, go ahead. Go ahead, throw a punch. No one's afraid of you. And you're not making someone afraid of you by saying you're willing to be punched out. Because that's what it looks like at this point. You're like, you can kick my ass if you want. You're like, yeah, I bet. Yeah. But it doesn't come off like legitimate. CM Punk is not a threat. And his whole thing there, I thought, was like, just comes off shitty. I seen some people like, it's two massive baby faces. It's like Hulk and Warrior. But it's not. Punk is not a good guy in this.
Right.
And that's what I think the confusion that people are hearing. Because they're talking about how the fan base was so split. And they were. They were like Cody chants to CM Punk chants and back, and it was kind of like melding into each other and sloppy. And I think part of it is because people were like, I want to chant for Punk, but he's being a dick. And then it's I want to chant for Cody,
but nothing's
but I don't
really
get
happening.
What he said.
Yes.
Yeah. And so to me, it felt more like a confused crowd trying to figure out why they're being sideswiped.
Yes, and and sorry to jump all over you there, but this is another thing on Twitter that really fucked me up. And I get it too, right? If you watch it for what you see in the performance and you like it, I'm okay with that, right? But when they're performing in front of a live crowd, and when that live crowd cannot take in your performance, you're doing it wrong. You are absolutely performing it wrong. And I'm sorry, the very fucking beginning of this promo, when CM Punk tries to bring it around to get the fucking Toronto chants that happened with the Rock and Hogan, they did not fucking get them. Let's enjoy this moment. There was no moment. They didn't create it from their entrances. They didn't create it from their initial points on the microphone. It was not a moment. Yeah. There was no moment to celebrate. It wasn't CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, let's go Cody, CM Punk. They did not do that. There was no moment at all.
Because the other thing that people say is, because I heard people talking about like the fact that they were all over each other's in these chants was showing how divided the fan base was. Because then I was like, but it didn't. It showed how confused they were
because they were silent.
They weren't silent. They were being noisy, but then they would like silent down as they try to figure out what they're trying to say. But then like the Cody chants kind of would go over the CM Punk chants, which turned into Cody chants, which turned into Punk chants. And what I felt like what was happening was they were like, I'm not sure who to cheer for because I don't believe this guy and that guy sounds like an asshole and I thought he was a good guy and this guy just said something that made no sense to me, so I don't know why I would cheer that. And then that guy said something that made sense to me, but I thought I was supposed to like him, but that made me not like him. It sounded like a fan base that just didn't know what the fuck was happening. Yeah. And even with like this divided nature of the Cena, let's go Cena sucks. Let's go Cody, CM Punk fighting ones. When fans get it, they'll do both. So they're both loud, right? Like,
what did The Rock do? The last two times The Rock came out, right? Mm-hmm. He goes, this side do this, the other side do that. And you can hear how loud it gets.
Yeah. And at the same time, like I was there in the crowd and saw it. Let's go Cena sucks from the same person. You know what I mean? Because you're into the moment and you get it. You get what we're doing is we're saying that this is there and we want that loud reaction. Being split doesn't mean being inactive. This was a confused crowd that is not buying Punk as a babyface. And like you said, that didn't know what the fuck Cody was referencing when he kept trying to talk about Punk stuff because they don't know Punk. I told you before when he came in, the crowd doesn't get him. They don't know him. He's not one of theirs. Or not right now.
And I tell you this much too, like again, from being there live and going to events, I'm sorry, but what we saw on TV, that confused crowd, the people actually chanting, it couldn't be more than 20% of the actual crowd. Because when you are there, these chants catch on. Something will reverberate. To them being confused, I swear on everything, if I had to bet anything, in that crowd, that's that same people before the show starts that goes, woo, and CM Punk and EC Dub, and they try to get these chants going when no one else is paying attention. And I think that's what happened this time, except the people who weren't chanting were trying to figure out what to chant for. They were trying to listen and see what's happening. And because nothing was happening, even when Punk tried to force the moment, or even at the end, at the very fucking end, when they're Eskimo kissing, was there a back and forth chant at all? No. So the promo fucking under-delivered. It under-delivered. And again, these guys are on my show. They're on the show I want to watch. I do not want to waste time watching TV. So I want them to be successful. But the promo did not fucking deliver if the fans aren't responding. Just because Twitter's blowing up doesn't mean it was great. Listen to the crowd. They couldn't figure it out.
You know who's on Twitter?
Tony Khan?
Just a few people. I mean, it's what we talked about AEW. AEW gets 1,000 tweets about something, and they think that that's a rousing success. If they get something trending, you need like 500 tweets. We just talked about it. Like 3 million people are watching this show, 2 million people watching this show. You can tell me 500 tweets online about how great it was? Tells you the barometer of how the fan base was. In the audience, you heard confusion and rumblings and all sorts of shit. That's interesting. But when you have the crowd that's that mixed up, that's your barometer of how is this working. When you have the CM Punk and Cody fans from AEW being on Twitter saying they're killing it or whatever, or the ones who wanted them in there and are there, like Twitter response is so low. And that's why I think it's so crazy listening to all these shows and seeing the Twitters that I'm watching, and so many of them are so hell-bent that this is going to be what they want it to be, that it is before they see it. And it's the same thing I said about AEW at the time. People they hear Daniel Bryan versus Kenny Omega, and they say, well, this is going to be match of the year. And what happened? They went fucking nuts for 10 minutes of them not touching. Remember I timed it, and it was like 6 minutes before a hold was done?
Yep.
And it was all like, why are they going crazy? And it's because they've decided this is it.
Yeah.
Not because it's delivering, but because they've decided it. And, when Tony Khan was Booker of the Year for the first year that he did the thing, it was because they decided that going into this. I mean, they're not watching it. And this was one too where it felt like you guys aren't watching it if you can't figure out that CM Punk is saying a bunch of lies and talking a ton of shit on their good guys. It's not that he's another babyface and they're competing for the top babyface. He's an asshole who's being an asshole to the good guys. You know what I mean? You're not watching. You're not paying attention. Yeah. And until the fucking murmurs die down of everyone just excited to see him there for just because it's a new face and because he's supposed to be a legend, he's not in a program with anybody. He hasn't done a match that we've seen. He's just a dude who shows up and is an asshole to all the guys we like. So what the fuck are we think he is? He's a heel. He doesn't wrestle and he doesn't say nice things about the good guys. And all he says is, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to kick your ass and take money. That's not a good guy thing to say.
Here to make money is the first thing he said.
That's the first thing he said. That's what I mean. Like, I'm not confused by him. He is a heel. And he's doing everything heelish. And the crowd just hasn't caught on yet because they don't think that you would do that.
Right. Especially when the first pop he gets is cheers. And then he comes out and he talks in a way that cheers don't, equate to. Again, we've talked so much shit on Drew McIntyre for the last 2-3 years that for him to have 2 moments of promos that go, you know what, this is a guy I can root for. That's all we're asking for, especially me right now, out of CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. Give me something I can root for. Again, Cody, a little bit more palatable in this one. CM Punk, not there. But if they continue this route and it becomes what people are saying today, by all means. Again, my problem with Roman Big Dog, right? I was a fan of Roman Big Dog, and I saw what the potential was. but everyone decided to shit on it, and he never got the chance to breathe. Now, he could have failed if he had that chance to breathe, but he got stuck in side stories without actually getting his title shot, right? I never once said that Roman Big Dog was going to look like Tribal Chief, but people see this one promo with CM Punk and Cody and go, this is going to be Andre Hogan at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
It could be. They could build to that. But this particular promo, it lacked translatability. It had immense passion from both of them. But it's like saying, I fucking love the color blue, motherfucker. And if you don't love the color blue, I swear on fucking everything, I'll make you eat the color blue. They weren't saying anything. It wasn't palatable. Again, I've said it a million times, right? CM Punk is fantastic at saying words into a microphone.
Yeah.
But those words have never meant anything to me because his promos don't come off that way. And this is another example. If they can build towards something, by all means, I would love to see it. But build it. Do it before you call it great.
Yep. I agree, man. I agree. I think that's it, dude. Like, I don't have anything to add to that. Like, I'm happy that the moment happened. I do think it's cool that people were talking about it. Again, it does feel like there's enough there that it could be the biggest story you have.
1000%.
Which I think the potential is a thing. And it's funny because I was thinking about it just yesterday, and I know it's going to sound like such an asshole thing. And it just will, because it's just how I think about stuff. I was thinking the other day about how Peyton Royce had that one promo she did on Talking Smack or whatever. She goes, I'm haunted by my potential. And I was like, I wonder if she expelled that ghost yet. Right? But this is another one of those things where it's like the crowd is salivating at the potential, but not at the what's in front of us, not at the meal. You know what I mean? You're looking at the picture on the menu and you go, oh my fucking God. That's the greatest thing I've ever eaten in my life. But you haven't eaten it. You didn't order it.
Right.
It's not here yet. You could end up with a fly in the middle of it as soon as you get it. You know what I mean? You just don't know until you have it, right? But they're not building it. It hasn't been described well. All we've seen now is a picture. But it could be. And I felt like it was there. I felt like the potential is there. And like I said, I liked some of it. Other parts I didn't like. Definitely could have been better. I don't know. I've seen people who are calling now. They want Punk and Cody at Mania. And I'm like, I think I could wait. I think I could wait on that. You know, maybe a SummerSlam. Give it more time to breathe or something. But I'm not buying Cody's story that he's got. I'm not buying Punk's story that he's got right now. Like right now, I know they're trying to build to the Rumble. It's this weekend. I get it. But if everyone's story is I'm going to win the Rumble and then get everything I ever wanted, then I guess, yeah, there's some tension in the match. And you go, oh, these are all 4 guys who said they wanted to win. All right, fucking 30 guys are here who are intended to want to win, right? Like, is this truly their only path to victory? Like I said, that's my biggest problem with Becky right now. I want a match with you, Rhea. Right. Me too. Well, then the match is on. Fuck off with this whole, I have to win the Rumble to get it. No, you don't. She just accepted your challenge. She just accepted it. So it's kind of how I'm feeling about it. It's a Triple H vague booking long term. We're building towards the Rumble, guys. Just put over the Rumble. Say you got to win the Rumble. Say you got to win the Rumble. But why? If Punk is such a big deal, why?
Right.
If Cody's doing all these things he's doing, then why can't he? We know why Cody can't, right? Cody can't challenge Roman because he lost to Roman already, and Roman just won't give him the match. Roman didn't want the match he had. He wasn't going to sign the contract. We get why Cody needs it. But Punk just wants to main event WrestleMania because it was his dream before he was fired, but he said he walked out. So now he just wants it because he's back, and now just give it to me? Fuck off, baby. You know what I mean? Because I'm back now, so I want it.
Right.
Yeah. Fuck off. So, but I'm ready for last call, and I'm ready for the Rumble. Quick picks. Who do you want to win Women's Rumble?
I think Bayley has some legs to it. I think they can do a good job telling a story. It does seem like the favorite so far. So, I think like the year that Asuka and Shinsuke won, I would like something to surprise us. Yeah. Maybe not a mainstream name or even someone we've seen on TV for a while. And I'm not necessarily going with the Sasha and Naomi of it, but it'd be cool to see something surprise us because Triple H with his long-term storytelling, it's it's been kind of a bummer that every single story is a long term. I was gonna say that earlier about your Seth point. Continually rotate that title so not everything is a long term story.
Yeah. If
So yeah,
everything
go ahead.
if everything is mania to mania and there's nothing in the middle that's going to change that, there's a problem here.
Yeah, yeah. So something to surprise us in the women rumble will be dope because I think the men's rumble is there's a few cast of characters and that's about it.
I think why I like Bailey as the winner too is that for me it's not a shoe-in. It's not obvious. I'm not sure. I would guess we're probably going to EO, but how would we get there? It would feel a little bit like Randy and Bray when that happened. So you'd be like, so of course she's going to challenge Rhea, but it's not really the story we've been telling. So that kind of, you know what I mean? Like it feels like it'd be a monkey wrench that could be fun to get out of. Where with everyone else, it's like, okay, well, they're going to do this and then that's going to happen. Like, and that's what it's been feeling like a bit lately. On the same token, I think you and I both agree we want Randy Orton to take the title off Roman in the quadruple threat.
Yeah, I think that would be a great move and probably the best surprise of the night that we can get.
Yeah. Who do you want to win the men's rumble?
I'm liking the Gunther aspect with Seth being injured. That Hogan Warrior moment that you talked about. If they can build towards Gunther versus Seth and have that happen, that'd be dope. I've been thinking about the CM Punk aspect. Dude, it's going to be hard, man. He's got to show something inside those ropes that he can move around, and really make something. Because a lot of people are picking him to win, and I just don't get it. So, I think Gunther might win it. Either him or Cody. I think it's going to come down to the two of them again.
I could see that. I think for me, for sake of just not wanting the status quo thing we've been getting, I think I'd like to see Sammy take it. And I'd like to see a Sammy Seth match at Mania, even if it doesn't main event.
That's a great call because Sammy's been off TV for a while too.
He's been off TV and he was giving those fired up promos against Drew about how he's trying to fight his way back to the front. Or even a Jey Uso win and him taking the title off of Seth. That could feel big. Especially at a Mania where the last year he lost. I don't know that Jay's ever won a match at Mania. Because historically, the Usos have come in and lost the titles at every Mania.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to see Jay. So I would say Sammy or Jay is where I'm leaning. My problem with Cody is it feels obvious, but it would work. Punk would feel like such a fucking handout. Drew could make sense, but I don't feel like he needs it or deserves it because he's also lost every match he's had against Seth. So
yeah, and he's always right at that level too, right? He's always the favorite number 2, not even as champion, like favorite opponent. He's always right there. Yeah.
So I would say that if Drew wins it, I think that almost ensures that Damian Priest cashes in on him because Drew's been fighting Damian Priest over this cash in for fucking ever. Yeah. And then that feels a little forced as well, right? But that's what I feel like. And we're going to find out this weekend. Like I told you, I'm be hanging with my clumps. What do you got?
Logan Paul and Kevin Owens. That's the only other thing we didn't talk about because there's only 4 listed matches.
Oh, do you care about that one?
Do
Logan
you?
Paul and it's fine. Kevin Owens going to win. That's why would Logan
and then
Paul
how did fantasy book it out? What do you think about Kevin Owens versus LA Knight for the U.S. title?
That would be fine. I think you'd have a little bit of trouble taking LA Knight directly from a main event into a U.S. title, which feels so mid card. Like that's the problem with the U.S. title is that I think you need to keep it on a Kevin, or I even mentioned it before we even got to this point with LA Knight. Put the U.S. title on him on his rise and give him that Cena treatment. Make him make that mean something, right? Where right now it's just the title they have on Logan Paul because he's famous, and before that, but it was Ray's title for the sake of the LWO, like, which is fine. It was a good spot for that. But yeah, the title doesn't feel all that important right now, and it feels super less than right now. So I think getting Kevin Owens versus LA Knight for the US title is cool on paper, but to me, that's Tony Khan booking.
Yeah.
You know?
I want LA Knight to stay prominent. Maybe he wins the Elimination Chamber and challenges Seth at Mania. Like that would be cool too. But
that'd be sick. We haven't gotten anywhere near that.
Yeah, there's not much left for LA Knight to do at the position he's at now.
What if LA Knight won the Rumble and went for Seth? That wouldn't bother
Interesting.
me
It
one
just
bit.
it just depends on where the match is on the card for him to get back into the Rumble. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, he's probably not in the Rumble at all just because it's probably why they put him in the quadruple threat so people wouldn't be cheering for him in the Rumble.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, and it's a bummer. Real quick, it's just a bummer for him because again, last year's Royal Rumble. Shouts to Bray Wyatt. You know, him and Bray Wyatt were at last Rumble. This year at Rumble, he's in a title match. I'm sure he's enjoying it, but he's yet to be in a Royal Rumble too. You know.
Yep. Not been in a Rumble.
But, all right, sounds good, brother.
All right, where are people going to find you at?
At TW Takes Podcast on Twitter. Check me out. Talk your shit. TWTakesPodcast.com for all audio platforms. Just dropped an episode this week on the whole Raw going to Netflix. Did about 30 minutes on the whole TKO Corporation as a whole and how I kind of see the next, domino to fall in that particular group. Really, really good things going on with TKO as a company. So shout me out, rate, review, all that good stuff. Terrible Wrestling Takes Podcast, TW Takes Podcast on all platforms.
All right. We are Wrestling on the Rocks, wrestlingontherocks.com/shop. And we'll just be around. I think they're doing a show tomorrow night. We'll find out what's going on with the dive bar. Right here in the dive bar. What? In the IWC. We're the dive bar of the IWC. Guys, that's last call.
Cheers.
Producer Lady here. Thanks for tuning in. Continue to support and buy us a drink by putting the I in subscribe and reviewing our podcast. And cheers to Fans First Sports Network for keeping the dive bar lights on.
I would never have a drink